being rich is awesome. Money buys you happiness. I'm never going back.
That is Noah Kagan. Noah is an internet entrepreneur, pretty damn famous YouTuber, and soon to be best-selling book author. He's built multiple companies to 7 and 8 figures, and he's the founder and current CEO of AppSumo, a 9-figure business. In this interview, you're going to learn what it's like working with billionaires.
I've worked directly for Zuckerberg. When you're around these levels of genius, it's
how to go viral on YouTube.
My number one strategy is
exactly why he left Silicon Valley.
I left it after 30 years because
what's stopping most people starting their own business.
And from years of trying myself, years of helping other people, it was finding out that there's just the two things.
And you're going to also hear some pretty insane stories that he's never told before.
The experience was phenomenal, meeting the richest person on earth. I said, Bill, can I call you Billy? He said, yeah, you can call me Billy. And so I asked him that. I said, everyone talks about you this way. And he's like,
plus a more. I really didn't expect Noah to be as open as he was, and I really think it made for a great and very interesting conversation. This was a real bucket list moment for me. I'm not ashamed to admit it. As you'll hear in the interview, we've followed Noah for a good few years now. So to be able to sit down with him for 2 hours was pretty fucking cool. I came away with a lot of things to think about, and I think you would as well. So here is Honest FBA's interview with Mr. Noah Kagan.
Okay. I'll wait for him to finish his drink. Ready? Noah Kagan. Bienvenido a nuestro podcast.
Gracias para bienvenidos a mí.
How is your Spanish now?
Más o menos. It depends. If you mumble it, it sounds like Spanish a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
But a lot of practicing. I take classes, talk to my girlfriend, go to the stores. It's coming.
So people that don't know, we are in Barcelona right now. You spend a bit of time here now?
Yeah, I'm spending about half the year here. Less than that, tax reason-wise. Okay. 179 days.
Oh, really? Yeah. Officially. Yeah. Is that, you've been coming here for a while, right? A couple of years now.
6 years.
Yeah.
6 years, yeah.
What was the attraction?
I mean, when I started businesses, early on, I wanted to work abroad. I wanted to work on the beaches of Thailand. And that was my dream. And I had like a desk job at Intel and I hated it. And so that was always just this fantasy that seemed so appealing. And I was able to eventually do that. And one of the places I ended up coming to was Spain because a friend of mine was here. And so we started coming every summer, mostly for cycling.
Oh, right.
It's literally like world-class cycling. So that was the impetus, and then ended up meeting someone here, and now we're dating, and so coming a lot more often.
And that's how this came to be.
That is how we met, yes.
I spotted you.
Not the dating part.
No.
The being out here in Barcelona.
No. So I guess just before we jump into everything, I was going to do an intro, and I was writing something last night, and then I thought, you do a lot of shit. You do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So what do you kind of define yourself as now? What do you introduce yourself as to people?
Yeah, it depends, but lately I would say CEO, founder of AppSumo.com, #1 software deal site online for solopreneurs, upcoming author. So when this comes out, $1 Million Weekend, it helps anyone change their life in 48 hours by starting a business. And then YouTuber. So creating YouTube content that helps inspire the underdogs. And then I would say amateur cyclist and above average boyfriend.
Above average?
Yeah, I would say I'm doing a great job. I would even say a great job. I'm prioritizing my girlfriend, so boyfriend, American, things like that.
Do you think that's what people define you as? People that know you now?
It depends who that person is. I think sometimes people are like, oh, I think he's like the YouTuber guy that asks people on the streets. There's, oh yeah, I think he did AppSumo years ago. Are they still around?
Right.
I think the book has so far, from all the people that have read it and how long we've worked on it, a lot of people are, oh shit, yeah, he wrote $1 Million Weekend. I think a lot of people probably say he's a good marketer, he's a good promoter.
Is there one particular one that you want to be known for out of all those?
Promoting? I'd like to say people like, yeah, Noah was funny. Noah was a good guy. Like Noah had integrity.
Yeah.
And then I promoted things. They were like, oh, I really liked what he was putting out on the earth. Like that to me has always been the thread. I think we all have threads in our careers and our lives. And all along it's been finding different things, whether Facebook, which I was early at, Mint.com, doing AppSumo, doing all these businesses that didn't work as well. The content, all of it is just trying to put things out in the earth that I believe more people should know about.
Very nice. Do you think, I heard a rumor that you had your 17th birthday party at Microsoft at the offices. So when did you become cool?
I think I've always been, I've always been social. I've always been social. My girlfriend was telling me recently, she's like, yeah, I was really popular in high school. And I was like, so the nerd got the popular girl? Like, it happened? It finally came together, like when your parents tell you?
Yeah.
I grew up in Silicon Valley, so my house was a few miles from Apple. My biological dad is an entrepreneur. He sold copiers. You know, this thing you just... And then my stepfather is an engineer. And so I just was like immersed in computers and tech from a very early age. And most 17-year-olds don't want this, but my dream was to go to the Microsoft campus. I guess as I say it out loud, yeah, it sounds a bit strange, but that was so exciting for me to go to Redmond, Washington. I think Windows XP, or I don't know which one was out at this time, but just to go see what this person who I idolized, Bill Gates, what they created was my dream. And so we flew to Redmond. My parents took me there. We went to the company store. We went around the campus. And it was my dream to work there.
Were you like coding at home and stuff when you were a kid? Or?
In high school, I wasn't coding. At that time, it was a lot of HTML. That was all the rage, like the front page and making your own website. I wrote a business plan, like an Uber at that age. Yeah, I dreamed. Well, I think when you think about business, really what you're solving is what's a problem that you have and ideally a lot of other people have and they're excited to give you money for. That's it. And at that time, I noticed an opportunity, which was also a problem for me, was the opportunity was a lot of my high school friends didn't have jobs, but they had cars. And a lot of people, things needed delivered, whether food or other things, and they were willing to pay for it. And so I wrote a plan kind of around what eventually ended up becoming an Uber. But no, I didn't really code until college. I think college is when I was able to start getting into coding and building online businesses.
But you didn't invest in Uber, unfortunately.
I did not invest in Uber. I met Travis before that.
You know the owner? You know the founders?
Travis.
Nice.
Kalanichik. Just being in Silicon Valley, you meet just everybody. And so now it's a little bit more spread out. It's not as concentrated. There's Miami, there's New York, there's maybe London, Austin, Barcelona. It's still a lot based in San Francisco, but being out there, like I'd be at a party with Travis, or one of my favorite stories I was telling someone recently, I was talking with one of my best friends, Boris. He was number 20 at Lyft.
Right. Okay.
Just like, of course, he went to high school with me and he just number 20 at Lyft. And we're walking down the street and we're talking about PayPal and we're saying, PayPal, I think they had some really interesting strategic decisions. I wish we could talk to Peter about it. And I kid you not, Peter Thiel, just walking right behind us on the street. We turn around and we're like, Peter, it sounds like a movie. He said, Peter, how did you guys make this decision? And he's like, oh, here's how we thought about it. I don't even remember the exact question. And afterwards, me and Boris were like, this is just cool. For tech nerds and people who love being in computers and all that stuff. And that was just the environment we were in at that time. And so the Microsoft part was just something I dreamed of too.
But you ended up, a few years later, didn't you have lunch at Bill Gates' house?
Yeah.
What happened?
Of course I had lunch at Bill Gates' house. No, I mean, I think for all of us out there, we all should have things we're looking forward to. We should all have dreams and things that we're anticipating. It doesn't matter if it's a vacation or work. And from a very early age, I was like, I want to work in Microsoft. I want to be around Bill Gates. That's what I wanted. I wanted that more than anything. And so for a birthday, I went there and always involved in reading about him and his history and how he was able to start his businesses. And so in college, when I was a junior, there was a Microsoft representative on campus hiring engineers. And I was in the business economics program at Berkeley. And so I harassed her. And one of my favorite phrases is persistence beats resistance. And just if there's something you want, and I was trying to think, why do people not get what they want? And it's because their doubt is bigger than their dream. And so if you can create a dream that can just stay a little bit or even further than your doubt, you'll keep going. And just keep dreaming. Like, I want to be Bill Gates. I want to be part of Microsoft. And so I just kept following up with her. And most people don't follow up. It's unbelievable how much of a skill. If you can just get good at following up, you can get almost everything you want. And so I followed up relentlessly and eventually was able to get an internship, which they never had an internship for business people. Because I kept like, hey, could we do this? Could we do this? And I wasn't annoying in a way, but I tried to make it so something they're excited. I always think about this phrase, whiffed, what's in it for them.
Right, yeah. So
what is it for them that they're excited? And we all know this, but we don't do it. When we message people, we say, well, here's what I really want. And I'm like, okay, what about them? And so it was, what about business people? You can have new hires. You can get it through across all the top schools. And so I was able to get the internship. And part of the internship was having lunch at his house. And that was just one of the coolest experiences ever for, I think at that time I was 19.
Was it like a group of you that were interning?
So Microsoft does internships. You don't get to go to his house anymore. That was just for, I think, about a decade. Every summer, those interns got to go to his house. And it was just such a unique experience. So first off, they take your phones. So they take everything. They basically check you, full check. They do 2 car swaps. That was really unique. Yeah, so they pick you up from the campus. You're driving down. They go to another parking spot because they don't really want you to know what's happening. They don't. It's just I don't even understand all of it. So you go to another spot, check you, then you get into another car,
Right.
and then they bring you into like his house has a hangar for a garage. It's a hangar. It's literally a hangar. I mean, now it's been 20 years. I still distinctly remember it. And you can go on Google and look up a lot of this stuff about the house. Back then, there wasn't on YouTube or Instagram a lot of this type of information. And so, yeah, you're in this house, and it's basically built into the mountain in Lake Medina, Washington.
Right.
And I mean, at the time, he was multi-billionaire, richest person on earth. And it's kind of it's surreal to basically come into his house, and it's so vast, and, glass elevator, and you're on the lake. And it's just unbelievable.
I heard a rumor when I was a kid. It always sticks in my mind. They're like, when you walk into a room at Bill Gates' house, you have like, it knows who's in the room and it would change the room to be like ambient that you like.
Yeah.
Was that true?
Yeah, that was true.
Oh, is it really?
That's true. This is also, think about it, this is 2004, so pre a lot of the Internet of Things, IoT stuff.
Yeah.
What I believe they had is badges. So kind of like
Right,
an RFID or NFC, like on your phone, you'd walk into the rooms, they know that would help them know who you are at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think just the experience was phenomenal, meeting the richest person on earth, very gifted. And specifically, I remember asking him, I said, Bill, can I call you Billy? He said, yeah, you can call me Billy. So I said, I'm an economics major in business, and one of the questions they always say is that you'll never pick up a dollar off the ground because it's not worth your time.
Yeah.
You've heard this one, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so I asked him that. I said, everyone talks about you this way. And he's like, and most normal humans would say, yes, I pick it up, or no, I don't pick it up. And he goes, well, it actually depends because my wealth is logarithmic. And it's dependent on the fluctuations of the stock market at any one point in time. So it's really hard to make that decision.
Wow.
And I was like, so you're going to pick it up? He's like, yeah, I'd probably pick it up. And so it was just a cool opportunity. When I've been around him, I've worked directly for Zuckerberg. When you're around these levels of genius, it's notably different. And I think people can have genius in maybe physical sports, but in terms of intellect, like Peter Thiel, Zuckerberg, Sean Parker, Bill Gates, the way that they're thinking is just on a deeper level.
Did you feel like at the event at Bill Gates' house, was everyone trying to get a word in, or was it everyone kind of go into their shell and kind of bottle the opportunity to speak to him?
I just wanted to ask my questions. I knew that I had a few questions I wanted to ask, and then I wanted to invade his house and see all of it as much as was within reason that they wouldn't get mad at me. So I went into the tennis courts, went into the guest house. I remember being in the bathroom, just amazed, and just be like, I'm in Bill Gates' bathroom. I'm peeing in his toilet. And I was very, proper, sitting down to pee to make sure I didn't make a mess. And, he had towels. He didn't have toilet paper. It was like the towel. No, I think he had toilet paper and towels.
He didn't have like futuristic bum
No,
bang?
bidet. I have I will say, this is a brag. This is not even a humble brag. I have a $6,000 Japanese toilet, which is I miss it. Like, people miss their cats. I miss my toilet.
You've struck a nerve here. This wasn't in the plan at all. One of the businesses that I want to launch in future, the bum guns you get in Asia?
Yeah.
Incredible. First
Love
time you
them.
see them, you're like, what the hell's this? The floor's soaking wet. You spray it everywhere. And now, when you're there for a while, amazing. You come back to Europe, disgusting. I hate it. Every time I look for a flat now, I want a bum gun. So I want to normalize that in Europe and the UK. So that's my mission.
Dude, $1 billion business. Let me invest. Basically, for people that don't know, it's taking a hose and then spraying your butt. It's like washing a car, but you're washing your butt. I think it works in Thailand because you don't dry off that way, and then normally it's okay to get the whole room wet.
Yeah, they are like wet rooms, to be fair. But like that, is it Dude Wipes? They've got huge now.
Dude
and there
Wipes
was
are big.
There's another one.
Tushy.com
Tushy.
has
Their
done a
branding's
really good-
amazing.
they
They
did a really
killed
good
it
job.
They killed it because during COVID,
The toilet paper.
shortage, and then they just went massive.
Yeah.
But like seeing what they did, I was like, this can work for sure.
Definitely. Coming back to the Bill Gates, it was just nice to be asking these questions, seeing this. I remember asking him, I said, Bill, did you think this is what was going to happen? Right? Like, is this the vision you had? And for him and Zuckerberg, what happens, we think, oh, they had these visions, and that's true. Their first vision is just getting started. And that's where most people stop. And we'll talk about $1 Million Weekend. It's really now, not how. And it's getting going. And Bill got going by a business in Albuquerque while he was at Harvard. Zuck got going while he's a student at Harvard as well. And for anyone out there, it's available, just they have to start now. And then your vision changes. And I remember Bill Gates as well as Zuckerberg having really big visions. Zuckerberg specifically said, this is 24, when he just turned down $1 billion, and I was there, and he said, I want to connect at least 1 billion people in the world. And imagine being 24, and no one's really thinking that big. Most people are like, I want to get $1 million and, you know, get a house or something like that. He's like, no, I just turned down $1 billion, and I'm gonna own the entire world.
What a flex that is.
Yeah, and, and him and Bill Gates, and this is something I've taken into AppSumo, and I encourage others. It's number one, you have to start, because most people have a big dream, but they don't ever get started. Get started, and then your dream can evolve. And have a dream that you're excited to get going. And so that was special to be around Bill Gates saying, yeah, like I did see that this could happen for me. Because I think most people don't realize that it can happen for them. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be that life. It could be whatever life you want. And so just knowing those levels are there for you can be inspiring and like, okay, I'm going to get there.
It's like the seedings that you put in your own mind, and then you meet someone who's... So the first guy we met a few years ago, we had no business. Then we had a 6-figure business. And then we met someone who had a 7-figure business with, we could do that. Then an 8, and now a 9. And I'm like, yeah, like, why not? Someone's got to do it. It's not... And all these people, I mean, those guys you mentioned, they are genius level.
They're 10-figure business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the next level. But like most people that we've met, always super smart, but not like... It's not like they're geniuses. It's just a case of they've just persevered and they've taken action is the main thing.
Yeah, they started. So right now, I say this now, not how thing, and I love it. And people have been changed by it so dramatically because they're like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll wait a few weeks. It's like, no, just get going. The other thing is they've stuck with it, as you've talked about. Most people, and I've talked about this in $1 Million Weekend, is law of 100. Like how many times you, me, everyone else out there stopped maybe something, and if they would have just kept going, how much further they would have been. And then lastly, what I'd say that I was in Girona this last weekend biking with a professional cyclist. And just being around it, I did better. Just being around it. And then talking to him about his nutrition and his level of detail and expertise. And so the takeaway for the people out there is that, like, who are you surrounding yourself with? In the YouTube world, surround yourself with Tom and the content you guys are putting out, myself with the content I'm putting out, and as well geographically. Like, and there's nothing wrong with it, but if you want to get better in biking, in business, in relationships, like, how are you surrounding yourself? And people hear it, but I don't think they do it. And it's such a cheat code. It is such a cheat code to just go be around. I was with a pro cyclist, and I'm like, okay, now my carbohydrates are going to change, and like different things are going to change just because I was able to be around and learn, and also know that, okay, there's levels of how much better I could be.
You're a massive proponent of coaches, aren't you? Like personal coaches. I heard you 2020, I think I heard you on a podcast, said you had a coach for flying. Did you get your pilot license?
Yeah, I have my pilot license.
You had your like Hebrew. It was like everything you did. You were getting a coach. Boxing, and Alex, my other half on the channel, he does the same thing now. He had a boxing coach. He's got an MMA coach, one-on-ones, and it's like, yeah, you pay more money, but the elevation is just crazy. It's like so much faster. When did you start doing that? Was that something you learned from someone, or did you?
Yeah. I'm not sure where it started from, but it's something I've done as a cheat code for probably about 10 years, if not longer, maybe 15 years. It came after I got fired by Facebook, which was a story I'm sure we'll talk about a bit. I was Mark Pincus. Do you know this guy? He started Zynga. He was one of the first investors in Facebook. Probably billionaire at this point. Very well respected. And after I got fired, I'm friends with him, and he said, hey, go talk to this life coach person. And it was the person he goes to. And I was like, he seems like he's doing pretty well. And I remember how helpful it was in understanding and dealing with the loss and the frustration and the anger I had. And I think that sparked like, oh, this is a really interesting cheat to be able to grow at a faster pace for not a lot of money. It's actually cheaper than people realize. It's much cheaper. For instance, today, I can go through the different coaches, but every single leader at AppSumo has a coach.
Really?
Yeah. In the executive team, I have a coach even in marketing. So there's a guy named Moody Glasgow. He's the CMO of Zapier and Glassdoor, and Electronic Arts was his past. And so for a very high hourly rate, which is relative to how much we make, it's not that high, but it's a lot. Most people are like, damn, that's like four figures an hour. It's like a lot to pay someone. But what he does is $1 million decisions for us.
Yeah.
Easy. So yes, will I pay a few $1,000s a month to be able to have a step function in improvement in marketing? And then you think, okay, well, what other areas do I want to get better in? So before dating, my current girlfriend, I had a relationship coach. Yeah, I had a relationship with Stephanie Rigg. I actually found her via Instagram. I really appreciate her material. She's phenomenal. After I worked with her, I got an amazing girlfriend. I still go to therapy. There's a lot of different coaches. It's just thinking about what aspects of my life do I want to improve. And most of the people you can never hire full time.
Yeah.
But for some amount of money, you can actually get access to them on a monthly basis. It's insane.
Yeah. No, we exactly the same, like as everyone thinks. When I was younger, I was like, I can't afford that. How can what I was like, I used to think, what do consultants even do? That they're just like come in, kind of satellite in, bit of advice, leave again.
Yeah.
And then as we ran our businesses, we've had booked so many calls with people, and just talking to someone who's done 40 million, 50 million, one bit of advice from the call, we're like totally worth it. You can pay like $500, $600, and it changes our business, and it is a multi-million-dollar call, really. Like the ROI is massive, so can see why they can charge a lot. Do you not do any consulting? No.
No, I don't.
Do you feel like you could?
What's
I
that?
feel like you could, no? Pretty easily.
Yeah, I just don't want to. And then the upside, you know, if you think about it, building an asset, the upside of my time, if I could put that into hiring or at AppSumo, there's a much higher exponential growth around that,
right?
Versus the one-to-one nature of consulting, which is also good. I think a lot of people do that. The one thing I would say for coaching, and for me, this book is a way I'm coaching. So $1 Million Weekend is a way I'm coaching now millions of people that I couldn't do individually.
Yeah, sure.
The one thing I would say with coaches is that if you can't afford it, that's great. There's free information. Everyone knows this. There's free information on YouTube and stuff like that. But what I would look for from a coach is, one, do they have a hot body? This is the way I like to think about it. Like when you go to the gym, I like the female or male who I can see they have the body or the fitness that I want. And so in these coaches, have they done the thing you want to do? And that's, you guys had a viral video about fake gurus, and it frustrates me because I'm like, these gurus, you can't see their business. They don't tell you what they've done, and then they sell you something that'll prove to get you what they can't claim. And the one thing for me is I look for coaches like Moody, who's amazing, who've done the thing. I'm like, wow, you ran Glassdoor and Zapier's marketing. Now, the other part of coaching that is important when you're trying to find a coach, find someone that you just keep disagreeing with.
Yeah.
Every time they give you advice and you don't want to do it, that's a good coach for you. Because you're looking for someone that's helping you in a way that you can't help yourself.
Right, yeah, okay.
And so all these times Moody's like, hey, we're not going to do it that way. And I'm like, no, Moody, let me tell you, I'm right. And you're wrong. So anyways, just a little tip there for as you're looking for a coach, can you see what they've actually done?
Yeah.
And so that's a haircut or something you want to emulate. And can you actually be okay that you're going to disagree with them and realize that you hired them for a reason? Doesn't mean you follow all of it, but a lot of it.
I've heard you say previously you have like a council of wise men that you refer to. That you want to, same thing. You want them to disagree with you. Did you bring them together on purpose? Then the people that challenged you in every area, or was that just kind of a group of good friends?
It's a group of all my best friends. I find really interesting. I have 17 of them. 17 best. Again, it's like who you surround yourself with, and it's not only business. It's just people who like Tynan. Tynan lives and works on cruises a lot. Like he's on a cruise right now, somewhere I think going from Canada to Japan, and just people doing interesting things. I like surrounding myself with people that are teaching me and inspiring me in different ways, and so that is who I surround myself with. It's not just you've made a lot of money. It's what's underneath that, like what's their curiosity, what's their passion, and more importantly, in general, it's like how can we help each other live a better life. And so I have a best friend, Adam Gilbert, from my body tutor. I talk to him every single week, and there's a time people quit, companies change, there's always problems no matter what. You think when you get rich, like there's no problems, there's just different problems or harder problems. And I remember going to him maybe about 3 months ago and I said, Adam, this person's quitting. This sucks. The business is like struggling financially. And I was like, you need to take your power back. And I was expecting him to console me. I'm like, dude, you're my best friend. I need you to just like be like, yeah, man, everything's great. You're so great. You're like, you got all this stuff. He's like, no, you're not. This is not great. You are not doing well. Right. And that was what I want around me. That was the level of, hey, take your power back, which is one of my favorite phrases. And how are you going to fix the situation now?
Yeah. And
so it's nice to have those types of people around you. And again, if you don't have it, it takes time. Like these are people over now 20 years that I have 17. So I get one a year. And at this point now, even like someone like yourself, it's hard to add new people in because it's like, I have my girlfriend. I prioritize the work, myself. So adding new ones are hard. But so find your core council of wise people.
To me, from the outside, I feel like you're part of the. There's a kind of class of. To me, it was class of like 2020 when I really got into this stuff. It's like you, Sam Parr, Sean Puri, Nick Gray, Neville Medora. There's like a group of you, Sahil Bloom. I guess there's like you've all kind of. I feel like grown. You were a bit more of an OG than them, I guess. But I feel like is this. Do you find the guys in that group, is it everyone persevered for ages, or did you kind of they like your counsel where you kind of seek them out and then you all kind of stick to each other because you're all doing so much? Because if you do interesting shit, you meet interesting people, and eventually that becomes your group, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there. I find myself more interested in the up and coming creators and just up and coming entrepreneurs and people in just different facets. Example, this weekend, there's a guy I watch on YouTube. His name is Tristan Cardew. Tristan takes video, and on Instagram, Tristan takes photo. I just like his content. He's got 30,000 followers, which is great. That's more than most people who don't ever get started and want to start. That's why I always talk about get going now. And I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I really like your stuff. If you'd ever like to go cycling, I'm happy to talk with you about whatever you want, business-wise, or we can just go and enjoy being out in Girona. And so for me, it's not necessarily like there's a class of people. It's just who do I find interesting for myself? And most times if you just reach out with a compliment, I like your stuff, then you don't have to do an ask or anything. That can open up a conversation about potentially working together or just admiring someone and in the future interacting with them. The internet is such a small place. I think people forget that. It is a very small place and you are going to cross their path again.
It's getting smaller. The longer I spend on it, it's like the people that in 2020, like we wrote a list of who we want to meet. You were on the list. And it's wild how it can, that everyone's getting closer and closer now. I feel like this group I mentioned a minute ago, I feel like it's kind of touching distance to being in it. And then you're in it and you're like, oh, right, what's the next level? Peter Thiel? I don't know.
No, there is. And there's no reason not that there couldn't be. Yeah. There is other people that we see at these higher levels and you meet them and it's generally not as satisfying, or it's not like they don't have some secret thing. That's been a big realization for a lot of people out there, is that the distance between you and success is closer than you think. And the distance between you and who you think is great or who you think you can be is actually smaller than you think. And it's much more achievable than people realize. They think that I have some secret, which I do, that's why it's in the book. They think there's secrets from these gurus or from people that have businesses, and the reality is that the person started and they stuck with it. And yes, there are things there's advantages, and there are geographical things, there are the fact of where you were born or who you were born with. There's definitely advantages, but it doesn't mean it's exclusive. And I think for me, for so long, I felt, oh, these fucking Harvard people, these Stanford people, these elite people, I wasn't born in Silicon Valley. Maybe I'm born out in somewhere in Eastern Europe, and I can't do it. It's like, that's not true at all. Deposit photos out of Ukraine. There's so many companies now, just worldwide, that have done well. Yes, a lot of Silicon Valley, but the belief that you can do it is achievable. I think to your point, I've been blogging. This is my 23rd year. It's my 23rd year, and so I'm going to do it for the next 23 years. Yeah. I like it. And to anyone out there, it doesn't matter. Find the activity that you just want to stick with. Right? It's like Sahil and these guys are a little bit newer, I think, to Twitter and some of the stuff. Neville and I have been blogging. That's how we met. Blogging and not just blogging. By the time people watch this, blogging might be dead. Point is, though, it's finding the activity that you enjoy, and also blogging and putting content out, really, I would say, has just connected me with so many interesting people. It's made my life so much richer. Like, I'm here in the studio talking and sharing my stories because of putting content out and being able to connect with you. And so find an activity that you do that also helps you be around other great people. And there'll be Sahil, Neville, Sam, and then there'll be new people in the future, and it creates such a rich experience putting myself out there.
Alex, the new up and coming guys.
Eric.
I mean, one thing I was thinking about was I actually gave a talk last week. We did a live event in London, and my talk was on how everyone who's doing anything should track it online, build like a bit of a personal brand, but it's like not even that much in mind. Just like document it, share what you're doing and what it can lead to. And the example I gave, honestly, was you. I did kind of bait you out, and I showed like a DM that I sent you the first ever time I messaged you, and I was like, the reason I wanted to break down why it worked. You probably don't remember what I said, to be honest, but what makes a good DM to you? Why do you think it's...
No, I remember yours. I don't remember the exact thing, but I remember you were persistent.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you did that I think most people neglect is you kept going, which some people keep going. And it's just creepy. Like I had a guy, he DMs me, he emails me, he comments on things, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in town. I should meet with me. You should meet with me." And I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Right. I don't even want to reply and engage that type of activity. And it's not that I need people sending me money or I need people doing these things. Just I have my own things, and everyone does. Everyone who, even if you're famous or busy or wherever, you have your list of priorities. And so inserting yourself is always a challenge. And so you have to think about, okay, how do I make it exciting? And I think for you were asking, was it paddle was the first thing?
Yeah, we went and played. What actually happened was I messaged you one evening. I saw you riding a bike, which first of all, I was like, why is he here? Obviously, I thought you lived in Austin. And then I sent you a message and it was like, oh, you doing any entrepreneur meetups? Went to bed and I woke up and I was like, that was so shit, man. It was like such a bad DM. So I was like, I'm going to go again. And then I DM'd you on Instagram and Twitter at the same time and said, 3 reasons why you should meet us today. I'll pop it up on screen, but kind of broke it down. And then you replied on both saying, You are aggressive. Let's hang. And then we wanted to do something, not just go for a coffee. It was like, let's go and do a cool thing. So we played paddle, and that was fun. That started my love of paddle. I play every week now. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Well, I think the thing that I've learned, because me myself, like I'm reaching out to different people. Like right now, I want to meet Dave Portnoy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
There's different levels. And I do think some people, when you start a fire, how do you start a fire? With like little twigs. And most people take a lighter and they try to light a whole log. And that's the same thing with relationships. You do have to start up and you build up. Like, okay, I'm meeting this person, and why do they want to meet me? And that'll happen as you do more interesting things. And so the two approaches I think are very effective is, number one, to whoever you like, you just send a compliment. And don't do a compliment that's like really you're going to ask them something right away. Just send the compliment. And I do this all the time. If I see someone, like I leave comments on a lot of really small YouTubers just to kind of keep motivating them. And maybe one day we'll do something, but maybe not. I'm just happy to send the compliment.
Like planting seeds, aren't you? Just
yeah. And maybe do something, maybe not. But just send compliments to anyone you appreciate their stuff. Hit a like button, hit a comment, maybe send them, I don't think I'll ever meet this person, but her Small Town Spanish podcast. I listen to her podcast every week. So I subscribe to her Buy Me a Coffee, $5 a month. Right? I just, never going to work with her. But just a way of putting compliments and helping out others out there. The second thing is, how do you make it super exciting that no matter what, this person's going to respond?
Yeah.
So for instance, one of the best ones I've ever gotten, I was living in Malibu during COVID. It was crazy. I got this beach house. It was like $25K for the month because it was on sale. It was on sale during COVID. I know. But I was like, I'm going to try to live super fancy once.
Yeah.
And then now I'm not going back. We can talk about it. But anyways, this guy, I think David hits me up. No, John Senstrom. John hits me up. He goes, hey, you're in Malibu. I don't think you've ever gone spearfishing, but it's super sick. I'll bring over everything. And like, you can look me up on social media. You can see like I've done this for a little while, and I'll take you spearfishing, and we can like eat the fish and cook it afterwards. I think you'll have a fun time. Like, let me know if this is interesting to you.
Nice. You're gonna reply to that, yeah.
Dude, you can see on social media I went spearfishing. So if you don't have a unique activity, or you're like, hey, I know you're in Barcelona. Maybe you don't have a lot of friends, or maybe you do. Like, here's a restaurant you can go to. Here's like a coffee thing. I do think you have to be mindful. Like, is this person gonna be trapped with me?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So is it something that they'll be excited to do? And if you still don't have, let's say you don't have money, maybe you're in a different country, maybe you can't do something like that, how can you help that person? Can you create a piece of content for them? Can you do an image for them? Can you connect them with someone else you think might be beneficial? There are free ways to do it, but it's really just going a little bit extra to make that happen. Can you send them something via FedEx? Like, hey, do you have a mailing address? I just want to send you something. And then like make something for them, or get someone to give you something free that you can mail to them. There's just a lot of ways of doing it that most people, 99% don't. The 1%, like yourself, persist, do a little more, and try to think of something a little creative, which just 99% don't.
Yeah, I think it's quite daunting. Like the first time we met you, I was nervous because I watched you online, and you kind of like, I was gonna say meet your heroes, but I don't want to blow up your ego too much. But you're really considered in what you want to say to them, because the way I viewed it was, he probably thinks that I'm gonna just ask him for investment in the business idea I've got or something like that. And I was very aware of that. And everyone that we've met, we had a call with Mike from Simple Modern, the water bottle brand. You might have seen there, like the multi-$100 million brand. And he was amazing. And every time we meet these people, they're just super nice. They're just really gracious, and they are genuinely interested in what you're doing. And I think something that entrepreneurs maybe that are scared to reach out to people is entrepreneurs find other entrepreneurs interesting. So whatever you're doing, like, you might think it's small time, but you found what we were doing interesting, and we had nothing compared to what you did.
Yeah. Well, and it starts. I think for people in general, we're talking a lot about just meeting other people, and everyone's a human, and everyone uses this. Everyone uses a toilet. Everyone goes to the bathroom, and so they're
soon a bum gun.
Yes, a bum gun, which we're going to put out that $1 billion business. Make sure you invest. GoFundMe's below. And so the bigger part though is that because I knew you were doing something. You're doing some social media, or you started some FBA business, which we can't talk about yet. Because you're doing something, I know that you're at least going to be active, and there's something to talk about. And so for anyone out there, doesn't matter what it is, just find something right now to go do. And then as you start doing it, guess what? People will actually want to meet you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be on camera. It doesn't have to be a content creator. You can be behind the scenes. You could do e-commerce. You could be doing a restaurant. You could be doing non-business related too. But by doing something, it shows me that, okay, this person's at least going to be taking initiative around things. I would like to meet someone else like that too, because that's how I feel about myself.
I've noticed one like common trend with everything I've consumed of you is you're very good at asking questions, and on your kind of on YouTube you do it a lot now. But every podcast, even when you're getting interviewed, I think you're good at asking people questions back. Was that a skill you learned on purpose, or have you always been like this?
So there's two things there. There's one, my mom asks a lot of questions.
Right.
Like if just any day I go and do anything, I'll pull up my WhatsApp. I don't know how she has so many questions.
Do you reply, or do you ghost them?
I have to voice memo it because it's just so many. How was the Mexican dinner? I eat a lot of tacos. Is that the picture from the Mexican dinner? How was your bike ride? How was it? What else did you do there? How was Moffat? It's just like the questions just keep coming.
Right.
Like I was hanging out with her recently and I was like, okay, that's good. The thing is when you hang out, it's just more interesting for me to ask more questions. I find it interesting. I know a lot of my stories, and it's, one of the things if you want to get better at asking questions, read a lot of dating books and read a lot of sales books.
Right.
Most people I hang out with a lot of people and they don't ask me any questions. And I'm like, it's not that, and it's not like I like two-way conversations. I want to ask a question, they ask a question. And so I was talking with someone recently, and dating books, like The Game is a great one. Mark Manson's Models is a great one. Mm-hmm. There's No More Mr. Nice Guy. There's a bunch of different ones out there, but that and the sales books, so like Zig Ziglar, Ultimate Sales Machine, any of these books, communication in general is how you get rich. Yeah. Communication is how you find your husband. Communication is how you get anything in life, and it's by asking. And so the more that it's a practice, the more that it's a skill. And a lot of the videos you see me, I go and ask people questions like, what do you do for a living? How'd you get rich? And can you give us advice? That's a really hard question, especially for a stranger to get from another stranger. Also to even let me in their houses. Yeah. Also to let me go on their private jets. Yeah. And so it's a skill that it doesn't go away. Like I still get anxious asking questions at times, but it's a practice of, okay, I asked that question, I didn't get a good answer. Simple tip, never ask a why question. I almost never ask a why question. Right. All my questions are how or what, because it's much more open-ended and it's less judgmental.
Yeah, okay.
So when I'm talking to you, I'll say like, how did you do that? Tell me more about that. Not, oh, why did you do that? Why is like my girlfriend did it yesterday. She's like, why did you do that? I'm like, baby, how did I do this? And so it is.
How did I not take out the trash? I know.
And questions, I just find life more rich learning from other people. So that's what that's ultimately. There's no like trick. There's no tactic or anything. There's ways of getting better at asking questions, but it's just a general curiosity that I have.
So I'm going to change topics. We've gone super deep on people. Actually, this is about people as well, but different kind of thing. So you are from the US, obviously.
Yeah.
You've now spent a lot of time in Europe. Have you been to the UK?
Not in a long time.
Oh, really? Okay. You should.
No.
I mean, I say I recommend it. I don't live there either, so maybe not. I don't know. But what do you see as the main difference between when you're in the States and when you're in Europe? What do you think is like, where's better?
Right now, I would say Europe is better. I'll just do an absolute. I think Europe is better. Point one, Europe. There's just, and it, again, a lot of it, there's the asterisk. It depends on what your life is. Mm-hmm. For me, there's just so much to be offered out here. I went and got a coffee, 2 coffees, 2 croissants, a Coke, and a bottle of water. It was $10. Yeah. I was just like, I love Europe prices. I love Europe prices. People here aren't working. people here come and they work like a few hours and like, oh man, I had a full day of work. I'm like, I'm like, okay, this is how it, and people here are living. And so I was in bed last night and I was just thinking about dying, and I thought, wow. Well, I just thought am I gonna die thinking about money? Am I gonna die thinking about all the real estate I own? And when you're dying, you're really just thinking about who's around you and how you were in your life and your experiences and the people you surround yourself with. And it's not as much about how much you have. Like having a lot of money makes life much easier. I definitely recommend everyone to be a millionaire. Being out here in Europe, it's really about people living. It's like, hey, this weekend, let's go to the beach. Hey, it's 5 o'clock. I don't work after 5 o'clock. And so the lifestyle is a really good balance where in Silicon Valley, I left it after 30 years because the only thing people wanted to talk about was work. That's it. There was no other dimension of life. And people thought I was crazy for leaving. They're like, you're doing all these things. You have all these people. You have all this like network and ability and stuff. It's so much easier for you here. And I was like, I'd rather live. And to me, Europe is creating the greatest balance of that right now.
I think if you live in Europe with a bit of an American, and America is like the work-life balance is definitely a lot heavier towards work in the US. In the UK, I say we're like a bit in between, and in Europe is much further the other way. And I feel like if you come to somewhere like here with a heavy work mindset, but you enjoy your life still, you can do very well because, yeah, people don't like to work as much here. But I actually, when I first moved here, I was like, why doesn't anyone, like, what are they doing? Why aren't they working more? And now I've been here 7-8 years. I'm like, yeah, because you should be enjoying your life more. And you can still, I still want to earn a lot of money. I still think I work hard, but my main friendship group here, we never talk about work. I have friends for that, and I love chatting to them as well. But the main group that go out and socialize with, you just chat about nonsense and you just do cool shit together. Yeah. That's the priority. So
yeah. If you could make a lot of money online now, anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So you came from UK to Spain. You were in Costa Rica, I think, recently, making a lot of money. And for me, that was always my dream. It was like, I want to run a business. I want to be able to do whatever I want and live the life I want. And so it took time to be able to do that. One of the things that I like about Europe is that people aren't in a rush. You go to the store here, they don't acknowledge you. They don't acknowledge you till they're finished with the person they're with. And in America, you're like, hey, right here. And they're like, okay, we'll be right with you. And in business, one of the superpowers of success is longevity. Now, if you think about billionaires, most billionaires are billionaires after about a decade to 20 years. And so the reality is that find something that you can stick with. And I think the culture out here really encourages people, okay, it's going to be a slow and steady race. In my 20s and 30s, I was so in a rush to get rich. I was in a rush to get all these things. And it worked out great. So I'm not discouraging that, but I like the idea of find the thing you want and then just stick with it for a very long period of time. And Europe really facilitates that. The other cool thing about Europe that I love is the proximity.
Yeah.
Especially even in Spain, the proximity is amazing. You can go to Andorra, which is these insane mountains, or the Alps, world famous mountains. Then you go to Morocco. Then you check out Africa, right? Other parts of Africa. Then you can go over to the Middle East or go to Europe. There's just the diversity here is just so massive. It's just so massive, and so cool to be able to be a part of that.
Do you find there's a guy, Chris Williamson? He's a British guy that lives in Austin now. Yeah, I feel like Austin's become this it's his hub, isn't it? But he said something recently which kind of struck with me. He said, in the US, there's this infectious optimism about everything, and everything's solvable, and everyone's kind of go get them. Whilst in the UK, where he was based before, it's just pessimism, and everyone kind of talks down. It's like, won't bother with that. I can't be asked. And that's really attractive to me, though. That mentality. Yeah. So, do you find that in Austin, or do you miss that when you were in Europe?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I live half the year in America, half the year here, and it's just the right amount of balance. I like coming back to America where it's my home country, and I feel I have more understanding of how things work, and I have more, okay, you can't do that to me here. Like here, I got pulled over for having my girlfriend on the back of my little scooter. Right. They're like, you can't have two people on a scooter. I'm like, or you can't have your headphones on. It's just like small things. They're just like, come on. I think in general, there's a guy that works with us at AppSumo named Sean, who's from the UK, and he keeps talking about that, and I love this mentality of there's a solution to these things. I think that's just a pervasive thing across the universe. It's how do you have optimism? There's a great book called Learned Optimism. It's an older school book that people aren't talking about. And just the general concept, you don't have to read the book, is how do you keep thinking that things can get better? And you can have power to make them better. So what Chris was saying, I think, is just a mindset idea that I don't know if I would say that's as much as Austin, but there is probably more of U.S. People leave their country to come to U.S. because they want a better opportunity.
Yeah, I can see that. That's what did your dad do that then?
Yeah, he came from Israel to the U.S., didn't speak English, worked at Macy's. You remember Macy's? Yeah, so worked at Macy's selling carpets. And he sold carpets, learned some English, and eventually sold copiers, door to door.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I would go with him all the time. I would go as a little kid, and he'd just knock on these doors and he'd be like, hello, in an accent, hello, I'm trying to do Russian, but it's Israeli. I have copier, you need copier, I give you copier, you want it. And I just remember being so embarrassed. I just remember hating it. And I did like, though, that afterwards he would get these sales and he would have a lot of cash. He'd make all this money. And it was such a treat just to be around it. And I remember my brother got married 2 weeks ago and we were at his wedding. And there's a caterer, and his daughter was with him. And I looked and I saw them, and I was like, man, you are so lucky You are so lucky to be just around. We were talking about networking and things like that, like just being around it. Like, go ask someone, hey, can I shadow you for a day?
Yeah.
And so I love that the daughter was able to shadow the father and see if an entrepreneurship career is for her. I think everyone should do entrepreneurship. And so it was cool that I got to have that, and that really inspired me to be my own boss and never work for anyone ever.
Do you think that was the spark when you were a kid, seeing your dad? Was it like seeing the cash, or was it seeing him achieve, kind of facing rejection and then achieving something? Was that what got you kind of hooked?
He did rejection goals. So he'd be like, no, don't worry, we're going to go through at least 10 rejections today. I was like, okay. And I think it was the cash. It was going to the arcade. He'd give us $20 and we could play unlimited games.
Yeah.
It was going to Costco, which was like my heaven. I don't know if they have Costco's out here.
Yeah, no, Costco, yeah.
Is it out here?
They got them in the UK, not here, but yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. That's where he would take us for just everything. And he would take us to Costco. You could have whatever you want. I was like, this is crazy. And I loved it. I loved the power that you were able to control your destiny. And one of the things my dad taught me that I think is one of the number one opportunities and problems in entrepreneurship, and we were talking about earlier, is just the power of asking. He would just ask all the time for everything. And it was just such a powerful skill that I don't think is talked about. I don't think people realize that's all business is. Noah, will you come on my show? Amazon customer, will you buy my product? Supplier, will you give us a good deal on this price? Girl, boy, would you want to date me? And so he was just fearless with it. And it was such a good thing to be able to observe that and realize it's a skill that you can practice.
Yeah.
And you can get better at it. And he was phenomenal at it. And definitely the cash, going to lake houses, that lifestyle was definitely very appealing that I wanted myself.
Do you think you have an addictive personality to business?
To money.
Okay.
It's changed over the years. I was obsessed with just getting rich. I was obsessed with studying all the business people, and I didn't understand how people don't think about that all the time.
Yeah, man, I was the same.
Yeah, so, reading the entrepreneur magazines, and I thought where's the book or the path to get there? I never found that. I was always thinking like, I want to be rich. I want to have these fancy things. And I don't know if I want to fancy. I just wanted the money. I wanted okay, I created something. I got this money. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, which is a whole nother topic that no one ever talks about because it's not a popular topic, which is what do you do? How do you enjoy your money? Whether you have a little or a lot. Most people...
It's a question I've got for you, actually.
Yeah, I don't think people actually think about that deeply or experience that deeply.
Yeah.
I just want a lot of money. And as I've gotten older, now it's more, how do I have balance around enjoying this life? And it's like, wow, I was way too focused on just the money.
Do you think it was more the status the money brought, or the comfortable position of having the cash behind you to do what you wanted?
I just wanted a lot of money. I just wanted a lot. There was no use for it. I didn't have a goal. Like I want to fly private only by 50.
Right.
And I want to be able to get houses or whatever I want when I want it without having to really be concerned about it. But at the time, from a very young age, it was just power and money. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to get this money and then figure out how to get the money. And I was very obsessed with it.
I heard you say previously that you didn't feel comfortable spending a lot of money. I think you said when you bought your house that you're in now, you were like, wow, this is the first time. Was it after Malibu? I think it was Malibu, got the nice house, and then you're like, now I'm going to change how I live.
There's a lot of negative talk about being rich. And now especially it's like people in power, people with money are looked down upon. And Ayn Rand, which is a controversial author, but her material inspired me. It's that go and create things. And yes, rewards will come. But if you're putting out there in the earth, you can control your own outcome. And that's the challenge of being an employee. You get the benefit. Sometimes being an employee is great. You get the benefit of going home and not worrying. Yeah. But you also have the benefit that your career is not in your hands. It's in someone else's. And for me, with the money, I was just, man, I never enjoyed it until I got older. When COVID hit, I started experimenting with the money. Like I was a millionaire at 30, and I don't think I started enjoying money until 39, 40.
Wow.
Just to give you context, I've had this money, and it's just like, you look at it and you see it, and I didn't realize that even when I had way less money, like let's say tens of thousands of dollars or very, very small amounts, there's ways of making your life better. Yeah. That finally I started testing, and this is part of $1 Million Weekend, and just not putting so much pressure of it has to be all or nothing, which is a very common mindset, which is how do you experiment with money? Okay, let me try flying first class. Okay, let me try renting a $10,000 a month house. Let me try a $25,000 a month house. Let me try buying a $100,000 car. Let me try buying like $25,000 or $50,000 Rolexes. And no, this is a $200 one. I do have $50,000 Rolexes, and they're very disappointing. It's one of the least joyful things you can have.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
I've got a €90 Garmin, so I'm not there yet.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I experimented with buying all these different things, hiring different people, trying out different things, and being rich is awesome. Money buys you happiness.
I like hearing that. I hate it when people say it's not, because it clearly helps a lot.
Money buys you happiness.
Wow.
Money
Clip
buys
that.
money buys you happiness. Flying first class, I'm really happy flying first class. I'm really happy having executive assistants that can help coordinate all these things. And when I didn't have money or I wasn't spending the money, I definitely was struggling a lot more. I was a lot less happy. And when I finally tested renting a $10,000 a month house and then a $25,000 a month house, I said, holy shit, like you always hear these messages like money doesn't buy you happiness and just be happy with what you have. And I know people live in a 1-bedroom house with 10 people. You hear these stories. And I lived that way. That's how I lived till 40. And then once I experimented with it, I was like, I'm never fucking going back.
Yeah.
And so after those things happened and I realized that you can use money to make your life a lot more enjoyable. I bought a $2.5 million house, and it's like one of my favorite things. I love being home. Yeah, and also it elevates your performance.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I'm at this house and I'm like, okay, what's the next level of my performance? And I don't feel like I'm stressing for the money. It's not out of my league. I do think people overspend, which is a whole another topic. And then being in these levels, I'm like, okay, yeah, being in a nice environment where I spend 10 to 15 hours of my day, if not more, every single day, and investing in that is a no-brainer.
Man, I had that as something I want to talk to you about with the biggest ROI you've had, because on the property point, I lived in the centre of the city here for like 6 years. No natural sunlight coming in. Barcelona's quite like dark, especially in the Gothic. I moved a year ago to where we are now. 6th floor, loads of natural light, and the business this year has gone. And I think that's massively correlated because I enjoy being home. I'm seeing more light come in, and as soon as I did it, it was like $500 more a month. And I was like, why didn't I do this 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Like, it's massive. What do you think's been other than the house? What's the biggest? Not even a big purchase, but the like highest ROI spend.
Yeah.
That you like? Was it getting chefs in or meal prep? For me, a meal prep's great as well. I've started doing that recently.
Yeah, we do in Barcelona. We do healthiest BCN.
Okay.
It's phenomenal. I don't know how this business is not in other countries. The healthiestbcn.com.
I've not even heard of it. What is it?
Dude, it's amazing. I think it's $10 a meal, fully customizable, super healthy, delivered to your door every single day.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's phenomenal. Okay. I've had chefs.
Affiliate link.
Yeah. No. Chat. No.
I'll take it.
Yeah. You get it. I've had these private chefs and they're fucking rip-off. I will tell you, there's
damn. That's my goal for next year.
So I think with return on investments, there's the return on the investment as well as the joy.
Yeah.
So is there a return on the Rolexes I bought? Maybe there'll be a little bit, but they don't really give me joy. They give me pride in commemorating a moment. So when I got engaged, I bought a Rolex. When I bought my first house, I got a Rolex. When I got my private license, my airplane license, I got a Rolex. When AppSumo hit a certain revenue milestone, I bought a Rolex from 2010. When I became CEO, I bought a Rolex. So I'm doing it as a ways of like, this is cool documentation of progress. But from a joy perspective, which is how I think a lot of people should look at purchases or an investment, it's almost zero.
Right.
It doesn't give me a lot of joy. A great investment, probably one of my best in the past 2 years, has been my bicycle. I bought a $15,000 bike. It's called a Specialized Athos S-Works, and then I've upgraded with certain components.
You bring it over here with you as well, right?
I bought 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
So I have one here, and I have one in America.
Right.
And I just love it. I look at it. I'll just go in the garage and stare. And then the one here is on the wall. I just go and I'm like, but so, you know, people are like, oh, he's got $1 million house. He's talking about money. Money buys happiness. Like, yeah, it's great. I want you to be rich. I want people to be rich. And it's great. It's accessible to everyone. I still go. This weekend was with a girlfriend. We're booking an Airbnb for Orlando, where her brother lives. And Orlando is just a trash city. It's just a trash city. The people are trash. The whole Disney is over, you know, costs everything to go to Disney. And the Airbnbs for dumpy trash houses in the trash city are like $3,000 for a week. And I'm like, I just can't do it. I'm like, I'll buy a tent at Costco and I'll live in a park because it just pisses me off. I was like, actually, look at it. I'll just buy a house instead of doing that. And so what I'm saying there is that everyone has different things that they'll think are worth it. So we found a hotel that's like $1,400 for the week. But you asked about investment. I just I can't bring myself to go do that stuff.
Yeah.
The house is a no-brainer. If you can afford anything to live in a better place, I also think the two pieces of it. One, I feel more inspired. When I was in my old house, the house before this, I bought for $500,000. It's about a mile down the street. It's not as good of an area, and the house is junky.
Right.
Like, I think people definitely died in it before me. And the walls are cracking, the floors are cracking, the ceiling's coming down. Because I was like, oh, you're supposed to be frugal and you're not supposed to spend all this money and like just live super cheap. And I remember I came back to the house a few months ago to work on it, Airbnb it out. And I just remember feeling so sad about myself. And thinking like
the time you spent there.
Just that I allowed myself to spend it there, and that what did I think of myself? That I thought of myself as small, that I thought of myself as not worthy, that I thought of myself as like, okay, this is good enough.
Yeah.
And realizing, no, you can have whatever it is you want, and for everyone out there too. And then getting this nice house, I come up to it when I'm going home on Saturday. I like pull up to the house, I'm like, holy fuck, dude, how did I get this? Right? And then I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm working in the house, I'm like, dude, you're awesome. You're awesome. And I love it. I love having people over. Like Ali Abdal's staying there for the past few weeks.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because I have a studio in it, and there's like a sauna and like pinball machines, and like
nice.
it's amazing that. And then every day I get to be there. I'm like, I want to keep doing cool stuff that enables me to have this house as well.
Do you find it like motivational as well? It's kind of you want to keep it. You know, you want to keep earning money to keep that cool shit. And
I
do more.
would like to keep the house, but the problem with making money, and this is the dark side of it, is that I love making money so much that I do think it hurts me. For example, I have a guest house in the back that I rent out for $500 a night, and sometimes even less. And someone was renting. I only do it when I'm not there. And someone's renting it, and they like dinged something, or the washer's not working, and I'm like, why am I trying to make this money that I don't need? And that the problem with Americans is the word more.
Right.
It's like, I need more. I want more. And it's like never enough. And maybe Europeans, the word here is enough. And so I stopped renting it out, and I'm going to get rid of some of my other properties and simplify. But just having enough and being okay, it's like you have enough money. We have enough of these things. And so understanding what is enough for each person. And if you don't have anything, okay, yes. But that's been an interesting experience where I always like making money. And it's figuring out, going to therapy, experiencing something and being like, okay, this is enough. And other investments, probably computers and everything like that. Like I almost don't hesitate. I just bought an $8,000 Roland switcher for my home studio. There's things like that where we make 1-2 YouTube videos that can make a few $1,000s. And then now you can do that over years. There's almost, like for your computers, anything you're using a lot, my computers I always buy top of line whenever it comes out. I just remember being on an airplane a few years ago, and I was spending probably about 2 hours deleting files. Everyone's done this.
To make room for
everyone's done it on their phone. And a buddy of mine this weekend was deleting. We were trying to take a photo together, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have enough storage on the phone. I've got to delete it." And
it's like $3 to upgrade your storage, isn't it?
I was like, dude, I'm going to sponsor you. But it's more just to think about, we have a very, very limited time on this planet. And so things like your computers or anything which gives you time back is almost a no-brainer to spend money on.
Yeah. I didn't used to be that way at all. I was pretty frugal, and now it's the return on it. It's even like doing stuff like this. Like, this is the first time we've hired a super nice studio and crew, everyone. But it's awesome. Like, and I already know this is completely worth it. Yeah, for sure. And it's
the comment I would make on that though is that also sorry to cut you off. Not super sorry. Small sorry. Is that that it's a jump, right? To go from zero to this is the jump, or zero to a multi-million-dollar house is a jump, or this to like flying first class is a jump. It's starting though.
Yeah. It's
starting your YouTube channel more basic with your phone and building up to that. Like with biking, I didn't buy a $15,000 bike. One of my first bikes that was nicer, I won because I raised money for charity. And because I was when I got a bike. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of into this biking thing. And then I bought a nicer bike. And then I got a $15,000 bike. It's not going zero to the fancy bike. So I think that's the same thing with these studios or with your businesses. But again, it's starting it now. So you can get to that point and find out. Like I have a friend, Ian, Tropical MBA. He loves fancy cars. He loves Miatas. He loves all these cars. I don't give two shits. I bought a $100,000 car and I sold it at a $15,000 loss 3 months later just to get rid of it. It stressed me out. I didn't like it. I thought I just don't care to drive. The rush around the corner to the stoplight. I don't care. Right? It doesn't do anything for me. But you can rent it on Turo. You can try all these rich things out for cheap now.
Yeah.
And see which ones really make a difference in your life, and then invest a lot more in that.
Do you on the cycling's quite I've not really heard you speak about this too much, I don't think. It's a long time commitment. So I got a bike a few years ago, and I went for a ride. It's like 4 hours out my day, and I was like, I can't do this. I haven't got the time to do it. But it forces you to be away from work, right? So do you treat it as almost like therapy to yourself, or do you just enjoy it so much?
I like asking this question, and I'll ask it to you. What is the question you think of when you're suffering?
Is this worth it? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So I cycle, and I love climbing. So there's like a Toro de Elm, I think it's the mountain, or I was climbing in Girona, or I climb here. And I like that question. Like, what am I thinking while I'm suffering here? And I think about it while I'm suffering on the climbs. And for me with cycling, I think, God, you're the fucking man, Noah. This is a brief moment of my day where I'm feeling really good about myself.
Yeah.
And it's in my control. It is in my ability to do something hard where I feel worthy for myself. I don't need anybody else. I don't need a view. I don't need a girl. I don't need a boy. I don't need $1. I just need something that I am pushing myself to feel very proud of myself. Mm. And that's what it provides me. When I get to the top of the hill and I push myself hard and I'm challenging just myself, there's no one else. That's what it provides.
It breaks up your, as well, like changing your, like I'm guilty of spending the whole day at home. I'm just working and I get in a bad mood. I get really unproductive. I just go for a run, go to the gym. As everyone says this, but like it just changes you so much. The chemicals in your brain just go. And you make better decisions. Sometimes like less time working is better, isn't it? It's much more effective.
Most of the best ideas aren't at the computer. Yeah. Every time the computer closes, you're gonna have good ideas. But it's hard because we get on the computer and we're doing technology all day long. As my girlfriend, she goes, "You're always on the computer." I think in general, when do you have, uninterrupted time of thinking?
Yeah,
that's why I like massages. Like it's really hard to be on your phone when you get a massage.
Yeah.
And so, how do you put yourself in positions? And it doesn't have to be 4 hours. Like, ideally, I don't think I'll have time today, but tomorrow morning I'll go for a 2-hour ride. I don't listen to things. I don't put on Bad Bunny and dance out, which I do like Bad Bunny. Maybe at the end, on the way down, I'll put on like an EDM song. But it's a time that's just for me to think. And specifically cycling, I love that you get to go see the world.
Yeah.
You get to see these amazing places, and especially if you're riding with someone you enjoy, you get to have really good conversations. Like, so I go with Dan from Tropical MBA as well. He's the reason I'm here. And we just have amazing talks. And then we go to a cafe in St. Hills, Girona, or we're biking. We biked up the coast. And you just bike to, Mataro, or you bike to Stitches, or you go to Penedès, or different places here, or as well in America or anywhere in the world. It's a really fun way to explore the world. Like in 2 weeks, next week, I'm biking America for a week. Yeah, I'm biking from Phoenix to Albuquerque with one of my best friends. So I'm doing America in stages, and I think it's like 10 segments. I got to see the world. I get to connect with my best friend, my buddy Anton, get to meet really weird people, get time for thinking, get time alone, get to enjoy life.
Something I wanted to ask you was, you got the coaches and you journal a lot, and I feel like you optimize a lot on every front, and I feel like I'm trying to become more like that. But then if I'm going for a run, I'm like, okay, well, I better listen to a podcast and My First Million, or like your podcast. And then I'm running and I'm like, little plug. I'm running there and I'm like, why don't I allow myself to be bored? Like, I haven't got to be optimizing all the time. And when you're bored is when you come up with good ideas. So you said you don't listen to things when you're on the bike. Is that very intentional? Because as I said, I feel like you are good at optimizing, but you're trying to kind of cut yourself off and just be a bit more present.
What does it do for you to listen to something, and how come you don't listen to something when you run?
I tend to listen to, I run a lot slower if I listen to a podcast, but I feel like I haven't got enough time in my day ever for everything I want to do. So if I can combine two, then great. But then I thought about it last week and I was like, I actually have zero time where I just think about stuff. And my friend called me actually, and he said he works security for a famous billionaire. I'll tell you off air, but he spent a lot of the summer on a super yacht in Greece with this billionaire, which sounds amazing. And I had a call with him and he was like, I've been thinking about this, thinking about how I felt, and I was like, man, I haven't thought about any of that in so long because I don't have time, I feel like, to think about anything because I'm just busy. Every day feels like it's not enough hours. And he was really reflective, and I thought, I don't give myself any time to reflect, so I need to start going for walks and going for runs and just like have no stimulation. But then I get 3 podcasts behind, and I'm like, well, now I've got to catch up on the...
I have too much time.
I do.
I have too much time. I would reflect on how your days are and how you want them to be. There are things like meditation, journaling, all these things we're supposed to do, and then we don't do it, and then we're like, why don't I do it? And you just keep not doing it. So I don't think doing it is the answer. I think it's understanding what makes you feel like you don't have enough time in the day. I feel like I have sometimes too much time in the day.
I don't understand how you do it. I've seen your calendars. Like, I've seen you code your calendar.
It's occupied. I just feel like I'm getting the things done that I want to get done. So I would really reflect on, are you getting the things done you want to get done? Like, what is your goal? There's a process to it, but what is your goal for the year? What was your goal? Then breaking it down for the month and for the week. And then I'm getting those done. So I don't feel guilty doing less or doing more. And I don't generally like, oh, I wish I could have had more time for these kind of things.
Do you have a benchmark of what makes a day successful? Kind of like give yourself a pat on the back? Because I definitely don't do that. I feel like every day I don't do quite enough, but that's not
What's the last day you did that you felt proud of yourself?
Yesterday, running the 10K.
Okay.
Big race.
That's great.
Other than that, I think the event we did last week in London, which was like 0 time on a laptop or anything in the day, meeting people in real life, getting like to know them and getting personal like thank yous. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great for the ego, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I felt proud of that. It was an event we planned 3 weeks prior. It pulled off really well.
Yeah.
I felt very fulfilled that day, yeah.
What can you learn from that to do in your more day-to-day?
I think I need to be around people more, to be honest. That's I spend way too much time on my own at home, which is probably why I listen to so many podcasts, just to get like some engagement.
Yeah.
But I think I need to like plan. I need to plan my life to optimize for that. I think I've had a to-do list for the year. I did set like goals for the year. One of them was to join a co-work. We are in the last bit of the year. I still haven't joined a co-work. And I'm like, I better wait till I finish this bit of work, this project, and then I'll do it. I think I'm waiting for the. It's like I'm waiting for the right time to arrive to then optimize my life rather than just start optimizing.
What would it take for you to join one today?
Literally just walk down the road and join one.
What's stopping you from doing that today?
Doing this podcast. No, I could
do it. I mean, can you sign up while we're on the show?
I could, yeah. Well, there's one. Honestly, I did go and view one. I'll be honest. I went and viewed one at the beach. You might have seen the big one.
Yeah.
It's a building site. I was like, right, I'm doing it. I'm going there. Went to view it. She gave me a hard hat and a high vis, and they were like $300 a month. It's open in 3 weeks, and I was like, it's not open in 3 weeks, and it's not been open in 3 weeks. So I did try. I'm nearly there. But yeah, I think
when you did the 10K run, did you go and think a lot about it, or did you just sign up and then okay, I'm going to do it?
Literally just signed up. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, and so this now not how mindset is really. All right, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And it's like, no, just go do it now. Just go sign up. And there's something about races or the thing that you want to improve in yourself. That's why I talked about cycling is that just get going and just sign up. All right, I'm going to go do it. Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure this out now.
Yeah.
And so that's why races and cycle competitions or whatever it is, just sign up and then you'll get going with it. And same thing with the office space.
Yeah.
The way I like to look at productivity in general is that I don't like time management or any of these things. And I think they're overrated and over-optimized. And I think your weekend should be under-optimized.
All right.
So lately on my weekends, I want to be as inefficient as possible. Like I go out of my way to, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go here. I'm like, no, just go wherever way you feel.
Yeah.
And so on my weekends, it's intentionally not trying to be so efficient where the week is spending a lot of time. That's why I do the Sabbath. Saturday, there's no technology. So I don't check email. I don't check Slack. I'm not going to work. I check like Map and I'll do like social media stuff, but I'm not trying to do anything work related. Nice to have a break. I'll give you one thing that works extremely well for me on time optimization. Every single Friday, I just do a weekend review. Every single Friday. I've done it for the past years. And there's only 3 questions. How was your week 1 through 5? What made it that way? Was my behavior consistent 1 through 5? What made my behavior consistent? And then what are the 3 things I want to do next week?
Okay.
That's it.
Like a Google Doc or?
It's just a Google form. It's free. And I just have a reminder that comes in Slack every single Friday at 3 p.m.
Nice.
And what that does is it provides context about what did I work on the week, and I use that data. So this person sucked. I hated meeting them.
That's today's comments.
Yeah, no. I mean, I get energy every time I do more of these shows. I'm like, why am I not doing more of these shows? I love it. And it's not just the energy. I'm like, it's exciting. Like, I like reflecting on things. I like sharing the stories that have gone on for myself and what I've learned. And so that'll be in the week. So it's just noticing that for yourself. And then you'll start noticing the things that make a difference. And then behavior for me specifically as a CEO with AppSumo.com, I really don't want to be surprising people. I don't want people to not know what no is going to happen. And for a lot of times, I could be very hot and cold. Like, oh yeah, Tom, you're the best. And then I'd be like, no, Tom, you suck today. And it's like, dude, that's a really not inspiring way to be a leader. So my behavior, and was it consistent every week, 1 through 5? And then what's my top 3 of the week? And that will then impact how I do this week. Right. So I submit it, and then I work with my executive assistant or chief of staff, and then we plan the week on Mondays. Or I'll do it on Sundays. But either way, it just helps me set up, okay, well, what am I really trying to get done? So I don't ever, a lot of people have this feeling like yours. I almost never feel like I'm not getting enough done. I feel like I'm getting exactly done the things I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So I wonder how you can explore for yourself feeling more content doing like the things you actually wanted to really get done.
Yeah, I need to think about this a lot more.
Maybe. I mean, there's the book, The Artist's Way. Julia Cameron. Have you read this one?
No.
Phenomenal. Top 10 must read. Business, creative. If you're behind the camera, if you're in front of the camera, if you draw, whatever it is. And one of the number one things she does is called morning pages. Every single day you journal. And that's way too much for me. I can be very strict. I have very high discipline. And then, which makes it sometimes negative because then I just don't stop. And I'm just like, oh, I feel guilty and all these things. Anyways, what I have found works exceptionally well is every single Monday. So right after this, I'm going to go home and I journal. And I use the morning pages form, which is literally the only rule in her thing is there's no rule.
Right, okay.
And so what I do is I use Bear app, and you can use any writing tool that you want. I won't touch anything else. So once I start it, that's my only rule. I can't do anything else besides to write.
Right.
Can't check my phone, can't change the music, nothing. And I just write out what I'm thinking about in my life and what do I want to have to look forward to this week. And that, for yourself, might help you think about, okay, what would make me feel more content that I'm doing all the things I've done and I'm not this, because having a sense every day or week that you're not getting enough done is not a great feeling.
No, it's not. I think I saw something recently. It was a paper to-do list. I write to-do lists every day.
I like that.
And the bottom of the to-do list had a "this can be done tomorrow" section. So it was like, because I always write a big long one and I never get there. But actually, 3 or 4 of the things can be in this bottom right next day. I might grab that. I think it's
all right. Can I challenge that one for a sec?
Yeah.
Why not just have like 2 or 3 or 4
points on the
just the ones you're just going to get done? That's it. Because what I've noticed in my experience from a lot of different trying productivity apps and with AppSumo.com and my own self, I'll just keep doing these things and it doesn't feel as good when I'm like, oh, these are tomorrow ones. And then it's a tomorrow one. And then it's a tomorrow one. It just kind of feels more weight that you have for the next day.
Yeah, okay.
And like in my to-do stuff, I'll do the 3 things. Like today it's this. I have a meeting with CNBC and then meeting with my assistant. And then I have some interviews with people for a creative director for our show. I think when I have like these ones where I think the other thing that's essential in it, have like stupid ones that you're going to definitely get done. Like a lot of times I put cut my nails. I really hate long nails. Yeah. And so that's almost always, not every day, but almost once a week it's on my to-dos. And what misses out is a lot of times to-do is it gives you confidence.
Yeah.
That I said I'm going to do something and then I did it.
I've actually, to be honest, sometimes this is really sad. I sometimes write things down that I've already done. And I'm like, take it off.
Okay, that's your own problem. But anyways, I think there's something powerful for you, and today it was my fault. I was 5 minutes late. But I said I'm going to be on time. I'm on time. I said I'm going to do these things. I do these things.
Yeah.
And so I wonder for yourself as an experiment, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Try having less things and then see what that does for you. And then that for me works exceptionally well.
I think it's like the lessons that you should teach yourself. Where I've done it with fitness during COVID. I was just working out every day, and then I got to like 50 days, and I was like, well, I'm going to get to 100. And I ended up getting to 140 days of just a consecutive exercise.
Yeah.
But it became like my thing. I had to do it.
Yeah, it's your identity.
But like the amount of progress, that was when we started this whole business. The progress in that period was insane. But I was taking like a good time out of work to exercise. And then I almost like forgot that lesson that I learned then, and then I fell off a bit, but...
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Well, I think two pieces on that. My favorite phrase coming back is take your power back. And what I would say with that is that in business, the number one mistake people stop doing the thing that made them successful. This is the thing me and my buddy Adam Gilbert do. Every time I meet an entrepreneur, they're like, yeah, my business is struggling. Okay, how did your business get going? How did you get your first customer? How did you get your marketing going? I did this. How much of that are you doing today? I'm not. Yeah. Go back and do that.
Yeah.
That's it. So for you, it sounds like the fitness life balance worked really well in this exponential growth for what you guys did. So take your power back, meaning, and I think about this literally every single week. Someone quit on me yesterday. Someone quit the week before. Person quit 2 weeks before that. And I'm like, oh, boo-hoo me. And I do feel sad. And then I tell myself, like, how am I taking power in this? Am I being a victim? Or am I going to take my power and solve the situation? And that's available for everyone. The other thing that I found helpful, and we talked about this earlier, is this idea of law of 100. And it's something that I've learned and I've seen. So you said, hey, I'm just going to stick with it to 100.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, if it's content, if it's emails, if it's writing, if it's business, if it's sales, if it's dating, get to a point, 100 of them, 100 dates, 100 emails, 100 reps, and then you can quit.
Yeah.
And what happens is after 100, you're not going to want to quit.
Yeah.
And you're going to find out, oh, this is something that would work for me. When I was doing my podcast, I was at 30,000 downloads an episode, which is an insane amount of downloads. Like now the top shows get that or maybe a bit more. And because it wasn't 100,000 downloads an episode, I quit. And I quit, I think, around 40 episodes total. And I stopped. And if I would have just kept going to 100, it would have been 30, 40, 50 in one of the top podcasts in business. And now back today, because I'm starting up again, it's only around 10,000, which is still an amazing number.
Yeah.
But if I just stuck with it, I would have been that much further ahead.
Have you mixed your, I kind of want to touch on definitely the book in a moment as well, but your YouTube channel has been insane. You're about to hit 1 million subscribers, right? And that's, I was going back yesterday and looking at your videos from 12 years ago, like 11 years ago. You had a real sweet like pencil goatee going on. But go back and watch it, you'll see. But I noticed that one of your videos, it was a video about how to use Slack. Was that the first one that popped off? And did that then, was that, because this was before Mr. Beast, this was before like people were like YouTubers, but you were on there making content. Did you have a grand vision that it was going to grow into something huge, or did you just enjoy, was it like a challenge you set yourself just to do more?
Yeah. So when I worked at Facebook, I met Steven and Chad, the guys who created it. So I've been on YouTube since 2006.
Your network is ridiculous.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And so my first video is 2006. And then this is, again, law of 100. If I just would have stuck with it, the size of it could be a lot different. But and that's I'll talk on that in a little second, because I think actually that's going to be the most surprising part. In 2010, Neville Medora, who runs copywritingcourse.com, one of my best friends, he just started uploading me and him chatting. And every video was getting 10,000 views.
Wow.
Every single video. And we weren't even, it was us, him on a guitar, just like bullshitting around. And it was getting so popular and there was no content out there like that. And then we gave up. I'm like, okay, I don't really care. I'm like, I don't want to do this YouTube stuff. And so again, it's just sticking with the law of 100, just sticking with 100 of them. The other thing is finding the format that you really want to stick with. So now with YouTube, my number one strategy is, how do I do this for 10 years? This is going to be a shock. I don't care about 1 million subscribers. I don't care. I didn't care after about 500,000. It's not that I don't care about the individuals. I just didn't, that's not my goal. My goal, like my goal this year was to go from 500 to 750. And so it is an interesting kind of, like, oh, that's different. Because I'm just focused on 10-year content, like I want to keep doing it for 10 years. And so as long as I can keep doing it for 10 years, if the numbers are good and we do pay attention to it and we can talk about that, the numbers and the score take care of itself. And that's the surprising part versus historically, and this is a common entrepreneur mistake, I was trying to go, okay, how do I get to 100,000? How do I double my business? How do I 10x my business? And I was so Silicon Valleyed, where if I'm not exponentially growing, if I'm not blowing off big time, then I'm failing. And now I'm just really about longevity. Because almost every single YouTuber who's successful stops.
Yeah.
They do. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
They all stop. Because it's fucking tiring and you generally are doing content you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, do I want to go knock on doors all the time when I'm already rich? Like, no, I don't. It's tiring and it creates a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And so I like some of them. And so how do I find the ones I can keep doing just for 10 years? And finding ones that also, not just I want to do, but also people want to watch and it benefits them. Specifically, my audience is underdogs on their business journey. I don't blow up Lamborghinis. I don't put balls in houses. I don't do stupid games. It's just not, I'm here to try to inspire people for business and be able to do it for 10 years. And in terms of popping off, I would say the real videos when it started was in 2020 during COVID. I did shirtless videos. Not like, it sounds sexier than it is. They're not very sexy. And it's just me talking about my plan in business and life during COVID because I felt good. And I had a plan.
Right.
And that's when things really started changing. And over the first 6 months, it was just me doing that. And then I put out 3 videos a week for the next 52 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, I went and looked at it actually recently, and I stuck with it.
Did you have a team behind you? Or was that just you?
It was me and one guy who would just upload it to YouTube.
Wow.
And then over time, just like we talked about networking, just we talked about business, you start stacking up your wins. So stacking the deck. And so it was stacking like, okay, well, maybe I can get a creative director that will help me think about these videos. Maybe we can get a thumbnail person. Maybe we can get a full-time editor. Maybe we can get a shorts person. Maybe we can get now like a social media, LinkedIn, Twitter thing. But it was really just being focused on YouTube, thinking about the audience, and then sticking with it for a long period of time.
I heard Jeremy, your producer,
Yeah.
I had a podcast he was on recently, and he said one of your like superpowers was when you see something that works, you 10x it.
Yes.
And I think with the knocking on door format, that was like clearly very evident. But you've knocking on doors, but now you're like going on jets, you're going first class, you're doing these videos, but like they work, right? These replicate it. But is it hard to keep it fresh? Like, are they your ideas in terms of you went to Monaco? Oh, you went to
Switzerland, Monaco.
Like, is this you just like you don't want to keep knocking on doors? So it's like, what can we do that's similar but still entertaining?
Well, I think the question for the audience is like, if they're doing business, if they're doing content, whatever it is they're on, how do you identify the thing that's actually working? And what I mean by that is that at AppSumo, we do daily deals for software, especially for solopreneurs, really good prices. And we did 600 deals a few years ago. And then I said, okay, let's do 13,000 deals last year. And it just did not work.
All right.
And then it was like, why don't we just go back and keep doing more of what we did work, which was like find very good deals, very few, very good deals, and that's it. And now the business is growing again.
All right.
Some of these like obvious things, but it's not obvious in the moment because we think we're smart. We're not Zuckerberg and Gates, but I've learned from them. And it's really like, what's the thing that's working and doing a lot more of it? And the story behind our channel, which was interesting, is when we were smaller, we do want to grow. We do want to keep growing. And because we were limited, we grew. What I mean by that, we did 52 videos, 52 weeks, 3 videos a week, and nothing was really working. And we had, it was about November, and we had a month and a half left, and we wanted to get from 170,000 subscribers to 250. And we're like, we've tried all these things. They're not working. We got to do something differently. And the book, $1 Million Weekend, having just a 48-hour block to do something and change your life is the reason you're going to do it. Like now it's been, when did you go to that co-working spot?
4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then you're like, I don't know. I'm going to do this thing. I'm busy. I got podcasts. I got Noah. I've got my wife. I'm traveling for my event. And so because we had a limitation of, we have about a month and a half to get something to work, what are we going to do? And I do believe these limitations are critical in success. And it was like, okay, well, we saw one person do that and it was all staged. And we're like, let's just go do it, not stage it, and make it long form, not like a TikTok video. And because we were limited and we had to get like basically 100,000 subs in a month for the goal, this is historically, it was like, okay, let's try something crazy. And we did. And then it immediately worked. Yeah. And then for us, this is at AppSumo, the value, it's called double down. And people hear this is the problem. People hear it, but they don't do it. You do it, you don't do it, you don't do it, I don't always do it. But this is how you get success. And so let me give examples of it. So we found knocking on doors worked. Go to our channel, like almost every single channel, every single video is knocking on doors, knocking on yachts, knocking on jets, not asking first class passengers. So it's asking rich people stuff.
Yeah.
Now a lot of people are copying it, and so we're evolving. But it was finding thing that worked. Now all of our content is that. What most people do is they do one thing, it works, and then they do other things.
Right. Yeah.
Another example from the business perspective is AppSumo. Our affiliate program for AppSumo is doing insanely well. So we do about $500,000 a month in spend on Google, Facebook, and our affiliate program. And if you look at it, like Google, we make our money back in about 4 months. Facebook, for new buyers, like almost never. And the affiliate stuff, we can make our money back within a month, if not sooner.
Wow, okay.
And so now we went from 1 to a 5-person team this year on our affiliate program.
I had a good chat with your head of marketing about that.
With
actually.
Nick?
Yeah.
And so Nick built out a full team. We have, there's Erica and Megan and Nick, and then we have VAs and other people. Once we found it worked, it's going crazy on it until it doesn't work.
Yeah. So it's squeezing the orange, isn't it? Getting
and fully, I think most people, as far as you think you've gone, you have not gone far enough. I asked a guy a few months ago, a few months ago, I said, tell me your strategy for growth. I blog. Okay, let's talk about double down. How often are you blogging? I blog once a week. Okay, now why aren't you blogging twice a day? That's double down.
Yeah.
And twice a day to 4 times a day. 4 times a day, 10 times. And then when it stops working, you can now pull it back and then find the next thing that's going to work. And I do think that's what's helped create AppSumo to be this year, it's almost $80 million business. It's finding the things that have worked.
Right.
And going as far as possible to help making them work, and then teaching others like this is how we're doing it. Same with our content. The other video that worked was asking super old rich people their regrets and their wisdom.
Yeah.
And if you go to our channel, there's a lot of content around people who are very, very wealthy that are older, not super old, but older, what wisdom and regrets they have that we can learn for ourselves and teach a lot of other people.
The video you did with the founder of UGG,
Yeah.
like that, actually, this is one of your, I had to watch that video, incredible interview, I recommend everyone to watch it. The podcast itself on Spotify is a bit longer than the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
The whole interview is amazing. I was like making notes while I did it, and it changed my perception on our business. It made me think way more long term, and he was just super cool guy. And then I just texted you and said, that was an awesome interview. It wasn't like, do you want to hang out? It was just like,
Yeah.
And I heard you on a podcast the other day saying, when you see something that's good, just tell people.
100%.
Like, just let them know. And
Yeah.
that I heard that in 2020, and I forgot that I heard it. You said it on My First Million, and I listened to it again yesterday, and I was like, oh, that's when I started doing it.
That's cool.
So yeah, thank you for that. But that episode was amazing with the UGG guy, and it made me think: are they the ones that you enjoy more because you're learning from?
When I was here a month ago, so the first class video, I did it from Orlando to here and here back, and there wasn't enough content, so I had to do a whole nother flight to do enough content for it. And it's just, I'm not present with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress, and others maybe do it, and it's maybe not as stressful. It just creates a lot of anxiety that I don't want to do. I'm proud of myself after that that kind of video.
You did yoga in the
Yeah,
right?
with Gustavo. And so the videos that I'm enjoying are talking to people I admire, like John Paul DeJoria. Like, that's a dream video to me. Talking to an astronaut, talking to the founder of Kinko's, talking to the founder of Qualcomm. I want to talk to like the Oprah Winfrey. That to me is it's a little bit more contained, a little bit more predictable. It's going to do well, and it creates a lot of content that's very helpful for people that doesn't have as much stress on my life. And also, I want to have a family, and I want to be a good partner to my girlfriend. And it's more easy to do that when I don't have to travel to Monaco or go on a flight to do that stuff. The one thing you said, just to teach people, years ago, a friend of mine, Grant, I told him, hey, I missed you a few weeks ago. And he's like, why didn't you just tell me then? Now it's different. Like, I don't care now. And so ever since then, whenever I'm thinking of someone, like what you did, I just tell them right away.
You've actually once texted me that. You were like, just thinking of you, and I was like, nah, he's lying.
It was my assistant. No, to me, it's just like, as I see the stuff you're doing, or your online business, someone was actually talking about needing a help with what you guys are doing. And I was like, oh, I actually know a guy that can do that. And whenever you're thinking about someone or you see something good, just compliment them or tell the person you're thinking about them in the now moment.
Yeah, man, I like that a lot.
So
it's one of those things that I heard that, and I tell people to do the same thing. And if they're not, I feel like if you haven't been part of the ecosystem or like self-helpy thing, people are a bit like, ugh, bit weird. But I think
when you tell people you're just thinking about it,
I think definitely British people, you don't like text someone like, just thinking of you. They'd be like, what the fuck do you want? For sure. Like, it's more, it's
really?
Yeah.
Is there other weird British quirks?
We're just very pessimistic, aren't we? Very sarcastic, nothing serious. You can't tell, like, to tell a friend that you could be like, oh, I love you to your mate. You'd be like, whoa, no way.
Yeah.
You like punch each other or something.
Love you too, dude.
But no, we've, maybe being away from the UK has actually changed me a bit, I think, for the better in that sense. Because you moved away from your home, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard you say previously about you think there's a bit of a power to that, right? Because I feel like you can kind of reinvent yourself if you go somewhere else. And not that you maybe even need to, but when you go somewhere else, it gets you out of the habits you're in at home, right? And the people maybe you grew up with. I think there's massive power to moving to like a bigger city, being around new people, and then I think it leads to higher achievement from what I've seen.
Probably also confidence that you can do it. I did ayahuasca, which is kind of a modern self-help. You do drugs in the woods and you cry. And
You've done it.
Yeah, you don't need to go do it, but a friend of mine is doing it. He did it last weekend, and I was looking at I wrote an article about it that went viral about how it sucks and is the worst night of my life. But what was actually really interesting, it goes to the same for biking. It goes to the same for leaving your home. It's the idea of doing something hard and realizing you can do it and feeling good about yourself. And that's what it provided for me. It was like a very hard experience that I could overcome. So leaving to a new country, maybe it's Spain, maybe it's going to America, realizing you can do it, and then starting to realize like all the other things you're able to do in your life.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get onto the book. So I've been reading it. It's very good. Genuinely, it's very good.
Yeah,
So
tell me your thoughts, man.
I really liked it. I think it's very actionable. There's as in to the point where you can write in it with what you need to do. I think if a book gives you ideas, it's great, but you need to make it really convenient for people. I think the way you've done it with how to think of business ideas, it's like a system. It's a very simple system. I think that's what pushes people over the edge to do it. So I really like that side of it. I liked all the pro tips throughout it as well. I thought they were cool. So one thing I've got to cover that you said in the book is said, if you had stayed at Facebook, you had 0.1% of the company.
Yeah.
And it would have been worth $1 billion last year. Is that like a stab in the heart?
No, it used to. It was a really great motivator. One of my favorite quotes is like, if you can get a chip on your shoulder, you can put chips in your pocket. And I was so angry and so fucking mad about it for so long that it really drove me to prove them wrong and drove me to prove that like I have ability and I can do something myself. And so if you see a lot of successful people, they have some level of, Steve Jobs was adopted, Jeff Bezos, who grew up with the stepfather. There's something there where someone said something to him one day and they took that optimistically and said, well, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
And for Facebook with me, I didn't know anyone there, but because I was doing I was getting going. I was doing all these side hustles while I had a day job at Intel, just like anyone else. And that's why this book is about the weekend, because everyone has a weekend. Whether you have a family, whether you're solo, you have a weekend available to change your life. And you have 52 of them this year. And so I was doing all these side hustles, and I just got the job at Facebook because they're like, oh, you've built a lot of stuff for college students. Like I built a college website called collegeup.org, ninjacard.com, comegetused.com, which is a book exchange, and all these different HFG consulting.
Comegetused.com.
Yeah. It did pretty well. It did pretty well. And so I was doing all these things which made it easier for them to hire me.
Right.
And being there, and this is one of the key things, being at an elite company with elite people very early, this wasn't so obvious, really elevated my skills. Being around the founder of Quora, there's Adam D'Angelo, Dustin Moskovitz, the founder now of Asana, Sean Parker, Boz, Naomi Glad, like these people who are elite, I'm just around it. Yeah. And I actually, I always think I'm pretty smart. I was like definitely not the smartest. And that was a great way to get a lot smarter. And so again, coming back to what we said about networking, what's the Facebook today? What's the app or the company or the geography? Like who would it be for like e-commerce? Like maybe it's a simple modern guy?
Yeah, for sure. There's him, and there's a podcast called Operators, which is amazing. It's the guy from Ridge, the guy from Hexclad, Mike Beckham from Simple Modern, and one other guy called Matt. He's got a Peter case brand. And like, firstly, it's amazing that it's free, but those kind of guys, like being around them, it's like they're riding a wave. They're growing so fast.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like attach myself onto.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I think part of my success is I've just been in categories with a lot of growth, and we talk about this in the book about how to find $1 million opportunities. I've been in $1 billion industries, so it's been very easy to get rich. I don't even have to be that good. And so if you're old or young, doesn't matter your age, go be around these types of people. Listen to them on the podcast, but then start figuring out, okay, are they having an event? Are they trying to sell their stuff? Are they trying to hire anyone?
We're going to New York in 2 weeks because they're speaking at an event, actually.
Of course.
That's the proximity to it.
Yeah, I mean, the ability that for example, as $1 Million Weekend's coming out, because I've helped Sam Parr and I've known Sam Parr a long time. Sam, can I come on the show? Sure. Hit me up December 15th or so and we'll get you coordinated. And that's from 10 years of being around him and helping him, and he's helped me and so forth. It's a really easy ask. Same thing as you're doing your e-commerce. Now that you have the Hexclad founder or Ridge or whoever the guys are, you can easily contact them for help. And vice versa. And that does take time. And most people just try to do it immediately.
Yeah.
And so being at Facebook, I was around these people and it was such an amazing growth experience. It's just like if you're a cyclist, go to Girona.
Yeah.
Move to Girona. If you're in e-commerce, I guess, go to New York and be around these people, whatever it takes. Like I lived very cheap. I lived at my mom's house. I lived in my aunt's basement. I lived on couches for a year. Lived on couches, literally couches and floors. For dating, it's not good. I was single for a year. Because you can't really bring a girl over to your buddy's house. I brought one back to the floor had a sleeping bag. I was like, we can watch Friends on my laptop on the ground. She literally left right then. And I was really sad for a long time after the Facebook thing.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, being in that environment, being a part of something that mattered so much. So being around super smart people and being around something that Mark at 24 was like, I'm going to connect the entire world. That was something I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to be on the winning team. And same with AppSumo.com today. We want to promote all the greatest SaaS tools for solopreneurs. And we have a vision around how we're going to do that. And people are like, holy fuck, I want to be on that. I'm like, you know what? I do too. And everyone has the ability to be a part of something exciting or to create something exciting.
And the book was based on a blog post from like 10 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
So this kind of goes back to your point about 10xing what works. So that blog post has just worked for 10 years.
Yes.
So at what point were you like, this needs to be a book?
Yeah. The book happened. So I wrote this post 10 years ago, and it's still applicable and relevant today. Right. And then we created a course, monthly1k.com, which over 10,000 people have done, which is based on that article and based on all the different companies I've started that worked and the ones that didn't. And then when COVID hit, I was just angry. I was angry, and I said, if my cousin Gabriel or my friend Steven, or I've got other buddies, JR, what's the book I give them if they want to start a business? I was angry. Like there's fake fiction writer gurus that don't have any businesses on YouTube, and maybe they've written books, but they don't have any business I like. I don't see any businesses that are books that can actually do what they promise. I've done it a lot of times. I've helped a lot of other people do it. I think I can help them. And so I spent the next 3 years writing that book and testing that book and then hiring the best writers in the world to then help me make sure that the content is really exceptional in terms of how to educate and teach in this type of book. And so now I believe we have the book for people that want to actually start a business without spending a lot of money and a lot of time very successfully in a weekend.
Is the goal with the book then, I know you don't want to set kind of crazy goals, but is it like 4-hour work week, like Hormozy's book? Do you want to kind of be in that echelon of, is that the goal with it? You think that's where it can get to?
That's externalizing my success to like competing with that. I'm hyper competitive. Like I'm probably irrationally competitive. And it's something about feeling good about myself and a whole nother therapy discussion. But importantly for everyone, you, me, anyone watching, the people behind the cameras, it's just figuring out what's your own measurement. Because competing and trying to say, I'm going to be as good as bad or Tim does not really do much. It's like, okay, what is pride for this? So let's just do two things. So number one, did I actually make something I'm really fucking proud of? And that doesn't matter about anybody else. That literally has no impact. Like if they sell 1 billion or 1 million or 100, did I make a great YouTube video? Did I make a great product up for Amazon? Did I make a great post? I spent 3 years, I spent 3 years to perfect this book. I think I've never written anything better.
Nice.
And you haven't seen the latest version. You have an older version. Like we've updated even since then. I hired James Clear's proposal writer, the guy who wrote James Clear's proposal, David Maldawar. Then I hired Tal Raz, who's literally written 2 of the best-selling business books in the past decade.
I've got Never Split a Difference at home.
Yeah, so he wrote that.
Yeah.
I hired him.
Nice.
And then I hired Charlie Hohen, who worked for Ramit. He worked for Tucker. He worked for Tim to then support me on the book. And so I was like, with the skills and things I've worked on, being able to have these guys help me put this all together, I'm like, wow, this is something I'm proud of. So first step, just make something I was proud of. If you're doing a business, you have to be proud of what you've made. It's not going to maybe look perfect. You look at the first version of the book, it did take 3 years to get here. The second thing is, I do think it's helpful to have some destination, some goal. So my goal for the book is 2 separate goals, but number one goal, and I think you generally should only have one, is 1,000 reviews on Amazon.
Okay.
That's it. I want to make sure I literally just have 1,000 names and I can check off that they bought the book, they liked the book, and they've written an honest review. That's very controllable. That's it.
Is that a goal?
No.
I mean,
there's another part, there's other things, but if I can get 1,000 people to say they've liked this book and it's helped them, I do think the score will take care of itself. That's a Bill Walsh book. I'd definitely recommend reading that. Around like the controllables, the inputs, the things that you have under your power, you're doing exceptionally well. And lining up more shows, being here, all this other stuff. Yes, I want to get the book out there because I'm proud of it. And that's actually a thing I've noticed from a lot of entrepreneurs and early entrepreneurs. They're very scared of selling. They're scared of promoting. They're scared of educating. And if you believe what you have created is really going to help someone else, whether it's a conference, whether it's food, whether it's an e-commerce product, whether it's software, whether it's consultancy, whether it's content, I think it's your job and your duty to go tell people.
Yeah.
I believe my book helps. I'm testing it. Every single weekend we test 5 people for free. You get the book for free and you get me and I coach you through the whole weekend. We just had a cohort just finish.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Every single weekend. And we've done it. It's going to be 6 months of testing that, in addition to the 200 beta readers that helped read every single chapter and leave comments around the book. And so I know the book works.
Yeah.
And so now for me, it's like, okay, I have to go tell people about this.
You mentioned in the book about the group, one of the cohorts said, you go and do it then, prove the theory. And you went and launched, I don't know if we can give it away or not, the jerky.
Oh, yeah.
The jerky business.
Yeah.
That then you sold it, right? 2
Yeah.
years later. So that was just like proving the theory out. And I liked how you broke it down with I won't give too much away, but like the math of like, how do you make an opportunity? Like, how do you validate that it's worth chasing?
Yeah.
And it was, the first idea you had was just too small. And you just tweak it a bit. And then it was
Yeah.
$1 million opportunity.
Yeah. Taking a step back, for $1 Million Weekend, if you want to, everyone should be an entrepreneur. Everyone should try it. Everyone should try having a 6-pack. Everyone should try going to Europe, and then you decide what you like. Try being an entrepreneur, being your own boss. There's a person like my brother who doesn't like it. He's a doctor. He doesn't like it. He tried doing his own entrepreneur. Great. I have other friends, JR, same thing. He doesn't like it. A lot of other people do it, like yourself, me, others, and love it. And just doing it, it's not about making necessarily just $1 million. You can make more. It could be grocery money.
Yeah.
It could be just creative money. Like the fact that you feel good about yourself creating a bag or a shoe. There's a company called Suaves. She's actually based here. Suaves.com. She has a great shoe company. She was a bag designer, and then she said, I just want to try to make my own shoes. And now she has a successful shoe business. And so the book covers the 2 biggest problems of entrepreneurship, which no one else ever talks about. Everyone talks about, how do you build a landing page? Everyone knows those things, but they don't do them. So what's happening? And there's something holding everyone back. And then I give the exact things after I help people overcome those to saying, do you have $1 million opportunity?
Yeah.
And then how do you actually make sure you can find out within a very short period of time without any money, which no one else does. And then once it works, how do you then get it to the $1 million? It does a lot in a very affordable price.
I think it takes. I think the book takes away the fear of failure. For me, is what it was good for, because you allow them, like, you can try it on a weekend. If it fails, cool, just do it next weekend. It's such a little amount of time, but one of them's going to hit eventually.
Exactly.
And I like that, because I think otherwise, I think people always think this has got to work, and especially if they tell people about it as well, and they build themselves up, and then people don't want to admit they failed.
Yeah.
And they don't even start, do they? They don't even ask the question.
Well, that's why we talk about now, not how. And that's one of the most powerful lessons in the book, is the fact that you have to get going today. We talked about the co-working spot. We talked about exercise. We talked about any of these things. It's like, okay, instead of, I got to give myself a week. No, now. What can I do today? Because then you're going to limit all the other excuses. With the book specifically, the question I reflect on is that if there's so much free content on YouTube and there's so many business books out there, then how is it that everyone who wants to start a business does not? What is that delta? And from years of trying myself, years of helping other people, it was finding out that there's just the 2 things. And you saw it in the book. It's the fear of starting. It's the fear of asking. The business stuff is generally pretty easy. And I see this literally every single time. Every single weekend where I'm helping these people, they're afraid. And that's great. You can make it fun. And you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself. So, for instance, there's a guy named Shaggy. He wants to create conferences. And so one of the key things that I teach in the book, and as well he's done now, it's, Shaggy, it's an experiment. You're an experimenter. Do experiments fail? Yeah. And do you blame yourself and say you're bad or scared? No, you're like, I'm trying it out and see how it's going to go. And if it doesn't work, great, you learned, and then next weekend you can do another one. And now Shaggy is getting a very, I would say, a successful conference going, because he's trying it out, he's experimenting, and it actually seems like it's going to work.
Nice.
So I think that's a key thing about how do I get started, right? Which is experimenting. The other thing for starting is a freedom number.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, we can go over some of these things. I want to tell people, like, there's a lot in the book that we're not going to be able to cover.
Yeah.
And so it's all, the rest is $1 Million Weekend. There are some things I'm happy to share. Like, if you're trying to become an entrepreneur, you got to get better at starting. One is to be an experimenter, and one is to get your freedom number, which is what's the number that you can actually do the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And everyone has a number. Every single person has a number. It's like, if I can just make this much money, I can live the way I want to live.
And it's often lower than they think.
Way
it
lower.
is. Yeah.
What was your number?
Well, it came down a lot, because the in fashion number is 10K a month. But like 10K a month is quite a lot of income. And you can go way, way, way lower than that. So yeah, mine now, like, realistically, 3 to 4, I think you can live very well.
Yes.
Especially, as you mentioned, the prices here are pretty low. I can eat out every day. I can have a nice house. I can have a nice gym for that. I don't know.
Don't tell these people to come here, dude. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's great. I mean, the reality by the ability of starting, thinking about an experiment, getting your freedom number, is realizing that most people are worried about being a millionaire, and their problem is just getting the first dollar.
Yeah.
And that's holding them back. And if they can just start thinking in smaller things and getting momentum, then that's exactly how you can then become a millionaire, because you're also doing the thing you actually want to do. So for me, my number was $3,000. And I said, if I can make 3K, I can then live, invest, and travel the way I want to live. And that's led me to now I make millions of dollars a year for myself, starting with just $3,000 a month.
Yeah, it's big. It's the jump, isn't it?
Yeah, most people are thinking the million and then they're missing the dollar. And so how do you keep going on? And there's a lot of challenges and examples and stories to get people to that $1 and to get people to that momentum of, okay, I feel like I can actually do this now thing in a weekend. I have that ability.
I think it's to relate it to what we did about a year and it was 2 years ago, was earning zero money. And then we started mentoring people with what we were doing. And the first guy, we were like, $1,200 for 3 months, like unlimited Slack access, calls every week. And then he bought it and we were like, oh my God, yeah, it worked. And then the next guy, we were like, $1,600. And the guy was like, yeah, okay. And then that was like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now this year, we have a course business and we're earning, it's 100x,
What's it at this year, you think?
Like multiple six figures earnings, like but the goal now, for sure, is a 7-8 figure business, like for sure. So we're going to have 2, hopefully 8-figure businesses. But the jump, it's just getting the first dollar. For us, it was like it was $200 each, essentially, the first month. And it's like, from there, it was how rapidly you can rise to then getting towards the million. And obviously we're not there quite yet, but I feel we've never seen a clearer path to it. But obviously, wouldn't have started without getting the first, just like taking action.
Getting going, totally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other part that everyone holds them back is asking. And everything, as we talked about, a lot of what is the power of asking. And so there's a guy named Dieter in Arlington. He asked for a raise. And guess what? He got a raise. He has a government job, and he has his own side hustle. And so as he got better at asking, he's like, what else can I ask for?
Yeah.
I can ask for a raise. I can ask for a sponsor. He has a website called wheelbrothers.com, so he gets sponsors now.
Nice.
And there's a guy named Pat who wanted to be a YouTube consultant. He has a day job. He works in customer support. He lives in Poland. And so he studies YouTube. He's obsessed with YouTube. And he knows it so well. He's like, I want to get a business going. Maybe I can start asking people, just cold DMing, if I can help them with their YouTube. And now he's on a 10-figure a month business. I believe it's 10 figures a month, on the path to $1 million business from the power of asking. And so there's a lot of different exercises and activities about how do you get asking so easily. Just like a lot of my videos, they're all asking. It's like, hey, how did you afford this house? How did you afford this first class ticket?
Yeah.
And it's a practice that it's not something that's exclusive. And that's what we talked in the beginning. It's not that there's such a big gap. No guru has some secret that they really don't know. It's mostly out there.
Yeah.
But it's overcoming the fear and having fun with it. So then you're like, what other things can I start doing in my life? If I can get started on the business, get started on asking, then this business stuff every single weekend makes it a lot easier.
You're famous for the coffee.
The coffee challenge, yes.
Do you still do it?
Have you done it?
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it for when I bought this T-shirt. I bought 3 T-shirts and I said, "Can I just get a discount?" And she was like, "Yeah." I got 10% off.
Oh, did you? Good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Sharing the challenge. If asking is the number 2 reason people haven't had success in their entrepreneurship and as well in life, how do you practice it in a safe environment? How do you practice it so you get better at it? And you have to commit before you go. Because it's easy to be like, so many people have excuses. I've done sales for a long time. Yeah. It's so stupid. I don't drink coffee. I don't need it. But the reality, and if you have all those things, then it should be easy for you. And I've seen the transformational power when someone asks. I've seen the thing, once they've done this activity, which is so simple and so small, change their life. There's a guy, Jason Blake, as well, who's done the same thing. And now Jason is getting going in his own business. And so you go to a coffee shop, anyone, it could be tea, it doesn't even have to be a coffee shop, but that's the most universal. You place your order, you ask for 10% off, and they say, why? Or they'll say nothing, or they give it to you. Ideally, they reject you. Ideally, they say no, and you go, okay, thanks. And you get your coffee, and you leave. And the power in it, as you experience, maybe you can share, what's the power that you learned about yourself in that experience?
The main thing you learn is when they say no, nothing changes. You're just fine. You can still, but when they say yeah, you're like, fuck yeah.
Exactly.
The upside is unlimited. And we've 100%. I couldn't agree with anything more that you wrote in the book is just having the power to. That's why you're here, right? That's just ask you to come on.
Yeah. And so the power that once rejection is not so scary, the upside of actually getting a discount, the upside of getting a sale, and that's all business is just from getting more experience with being able to ask people and getting better at it. It's not an exclusive trait that some people have.
Yeah. I think people see, like, let's say for our example, people see you here and they think some of the stuff we do is kind of cool. Like we're going to New York, doing these cool things. The amount of rejection or like just people ignoring me I've had, it happens all the time. I still get that regularly. I'm a very, very small fish, but the amount of rejections is like, yeah, I can have 10 rejections. If I get one win, that outweighs everything.
Yes.
And that's the way I try and think about it. I think it's one of the main lessons for sure from the book. I think you said, there's a quote your dad said, love rejections, collect them like treasure. That's what he said, right?
Yeah, the rejection goals.
Yeah.
So again, it's a practice. And I was doing, I think, paddle with you, and I lost. And then I realized this is the first time I've ever played paddle. And what happens in business is that you start a YouTube channel or you start an e-commerce business and you get a rejection or you don't get a sale and you give up. And then the reality is you just need practice.
Yeah.
It's the first time you've done it. And so my father taught me as he would go to these places, he'd have a certain amount that he just wanted to go to and get rejected by. And so it really gamifies the experience and takes away the ego hit of a rejection. And I do the same thing in same as you. Is like, all right, how do I get 100's a lot, but let's say 50 rejections when I'm doing a YouTube video. So when I'm going on the plane, you're not seeing all the rejections because they don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Like I was on the plane, the guy behind me rejected me, the guy to the left rejected me. There's 2 women who said they can't be on camera.
Right.
The people in Switzerland actually made me delete their video. They're like, we got arrested in Switzerland, taken to the police station. That was a bit in the video because they're like, why are you asking people? You can't do this. And so having a set target of it really eliminates that you're like, okay, well, I just need to get rejected so many times. And then actually, as you get rejected, you also get better at asking, and eventually you surprisingly or unsurprisingly get what you want.
You build the muscle, I think you said to
Exactly.
Ali Abdul once. Yeah, I like that a lot. What's your favorite part of the book?
Ooh. I like the actionables and the challenges. The shocking, probably most important favorite part of the book is the ending.
Oh,
Yeah.
dramatic.
The ending. Well, I'll tell you 2 parts. I'll tell you 2 parts of the book. I'll tell you 3. Man, I love this fucking book. People feel people too often are self-conscious of what they create.
Yeah.
They're embarrassed or they're shy, and if you've done something you're proud of, it could be anything. It's your duty to go tell people if you believe it will help them. And I believe this book is great. I believe if you want to start a business, this will help you. And the ending of the book, every single chapter has had significant amount of beta readers per revision. It's been a very highly structured process in getting a lot of people's inputs that are the target customer to make sure this is going to help those people. And the ending I changed to be, as Tal called it, godly gook, like basically bullshit. And we ended up, it was like, hey, a weekend can change your life. It's inspiring. Go have a great weekend. And instead we ended with a story of death. And it definitely, someone literally this morning, I think Valerie was texting me how she cried. And in general, we remember stories, and that's that stays with us.
Yeah.
And so the story in the book really impacted her in her own journey of what she's trying to accomplish in her own life. So that was really special I was a little, scared and vulnerable of wanting to share it, and like it's a little personal, but it's what is going to help people. And I thought it is powerful. So Tal, and we spent a lot discussing that. The intro, we have excuses.
Yeah.
That's a very different thing. I think I've never seen a book that has excuses. Most books starts with a table of contents. They have a foreword that you never read. They have an intro that you never read.
Yeah.
And we wanted to just start off that, hey, you're probably afraid or you've tried to do a business and here's why it didn't work out. And we're going to show you exactly where we're going to solve that for you. So I thought that was really powerful. And yeah, I like all the challenges. I think when I read a book, I read a tremendous amount of books. Either digital or physical, audio, I read a lot. And most of them I'm really disappointed by. I think there's very, very few actually great books. And the books that matter, you generally will take 1 or 2 things away that impact your life. Like actually subsequently use for years to come. And I think there's very few core concepts that people will definitely, maybe it's the coffee challenge, Maybe it's one of the other challenges. Maybe it's a story. Maybe it's the now, not how mindset. Okay, I'm just going to go sign up for the co-working today. So I keep bugging you about that. And I think there's very core things in this book that will be long-lasting and that I'm very proud of.
Nice. There's also a few quotes. So you said, I'm going to read it verbatim. I think you said, starting small, starting fast, and not worrying about what I didn't know. And also focus above all else on being a starter, an experimenter, a learner. Were these, did you write these yourself? These your quotes? They're good. I really like those two. I thought stuck out as a pair. And you said as well, most people overthink first, act later. Every successful entrepreneur acts first, figure it out later. That was a good one.
Yeah. So the book it's a combination from me with David and then a lot of fighting with Tal.
Really?
Yeah, the best stuff is fought.
So you wanted him to challenge you, like you said earlier, right? About the
best teammates I have at AppSumo have fought me the most. And the best people at Facebook fought me the most. And at Mint.com, I was number 4. We ended up selling for $200 million, fought me the most. And it's not about being disrespectful. It's just about how do you forge the best ideas. So the concepts from those, I read the book a lot. It's just like my YouTube videos. I watch a lot of my videos. And the ones I don't watch are the videos where I'm like, I don't really want to do more of these because I don't care to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's not so egotistical, like I'm the greatest ever. It's just like, no, I think I'm really proud of what I've done. I don't even think I know I'm proud. So those quotes specifically are around Sam Parr. It's probably around someone like you. It's around someone like me, where what I've noticed is that if you look at anyone who's successful, they have all experimented with a lot of things. And you're only seeing really the one that worked, but like how many businesses do you think you've started or tried?
Loads. 10, 15.
What are some of the ones that didn't work?
I like classic. I used to import clothes from China when I was in school.
Great.
When I was like 17. eBay banned me for life. So I think the clothes were stolen. In all honesty, I thought they were like I was buying legit, but they're stolen. That when I was even younger than that, I used to sell DVDs. Like that was also illegal. I'm not much of a criminal, but I'm saying too much.
You did a lot of legal stuff. I don't know about. Well, I don't know about your illegal stuff. Hopefully, you guys don't cut that out. But there's a common thing that most people have just experimented enough that have led them to some success.
Yeah.
Where most people are not finding their success is that they're sitting on the sidelines, consuming more, reading more, thinking more, waiting more. And so it's the belief of now and the experimenter mindset of, let me just go do a lot of experiments and get going that will lead me to some type of outcome. It's way better to get somewhere through action.
Yeah. It sucks when you meet people and they tell you a great idea and you have a great conversation and then you see them in 3 months and you're excited for them. How's it going? They're just like, oh yeah, I haven't done it because of this and that. I'm just like, oh man, I find it like it's energy draining because that's kind of stuff I find really interesting. I have friends that have like pitched business ideas, and as they're telling me it, I just think, you're not gonna actually start. I'll just give them your book. Maybe they will.
Give them the book. I'll give you an example of it. And I wonder, I thought about this deeply this weekend. What is it? There's so many ordinary people who get rich. There's an exorbitant amount of really rich, stupid people. Right. And so what is it that they did differently than other people who won it that have not, like the people you're commenting on?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Not overthinking it, just starting.
Yeah, they're not smarter than these other people. They're way more ordinary, but they've gotten going.
Yeah.
And that has led them to a place. I have a friend, he's exceptionally smart, and his idea, he's never going to do it, is portable sunblock packets. So when you go to a store, you can't buy just like a one-time use sunblock packet. Great idea.
Yeah.
He's talked about it now 5 years, and he forgot he already told me. So 2 years later, he told me the same idea. It's like, dude, I got a great idea. And so I have wondered, and this is what I was saying this weekend, what is it for him that is holding him back? And the reality is the doubt is bigger than his dream. And the dream of, hey, I could actually just have creativity. And it doesn't have to be a big $1 billion dream. It could be a small dream. It could be a dream where now I can pay for my kids' private school. And having a dream so exciting, you're like, okay, I want that. And this was where I'm at is my dream. And there's going to be future dreams. Like I want to have a dream where I have a sick house here. And me and my wife, my girlfriend, future wife, can fly private always between the two. That's a crazy. Like as I say it, I'm like, yeah, I'm excited about that dream. And so, getting more excited about your dream to overcome your doubt, and then getting going on it, so you can start building up some confidence in having that dream work out.
My this is completely off the cuff. My long-term plan, I think, is to live between here and a bit in the UK. So if you're away, when I'm here,
Dude.
I'll rent a house.
I want to not. I want to. Rich is when you don't have to rent it.
Yeah,
Rich is when you can just let
right.
your friends stay in it because it's just available.
I mean, you can do that if you like.
Yeah, I know. Like Ali is, buddy Ali is staying at my house. He's not paying, and I just want to be able to share it because I told you I lived on floors and couches for a year.
Yeah.
So for me, the ability to be able to let other friends or acquaintances be able to use my places.
Man, that's like I'm not by any means like set yet, or like, well, I wouldn't consider myself wealthy yet. But like this year's been the best of my life by a long way. And my goal now is like next summer, I want to just hire a big villa in like Greece for like 3 weeks.
Oof.
Open invite, whoever wants to come,
Dude,
I'll cover
let me
it.
know.
You can come along, yeah. But like that like having the money is like the tool for that, and it's like that to me is what excites me, is having like I'm not too bothered about the status, or maybe I am, because I'm kind of saying come to my big house in Greece. But for me, like that's amazing. That really drives me to want to do it, and that's what I think about when I'm working long hours and like not seeing my friends for a bit, where I'm trying to finish a project. I'm like, it'll be worth it to get this kind of gratification, I think.
That's an interesting comment because I'm not working now to make more money, and I think that's how you make the most money.
Yeah.
I'm not like AppSumo.com. We're working on our 2024 budgeting and modeling. I don't care if we get to 100 million. I know that's cool to say that you've fake lied and made a fake number, which some people do out there, but it doesn't motivate me. I don't wake up excited about it. And I think it's really like, I'm excited to do some of the vision. I'm excited to do the vision we have around how we can help SaaS products promote. And does it end up making money, which I do want? Yes, but that's not my main driver. And that's why the freedom number is actually important, because do the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And then you get a chance to have the amount of money to have options to live the way you want to live. That's why I do think everyone should at least try to be a millionaire. Like it's awesome. Like last week I was on a yacht, or 2 weeks ago, I rented a yacht to take my parents. They would never do this in their life. And the fact that I could be able to afford, in the past I've flown in first class, and then I was like, all right, we're gonna have a yacht and we're gonna go through the Greek islands.
Yeah.
And that's something they would never do. And it was really special to be able to do that. And also you can expense the yacht to your business if you film some YouTube videos on it, which I didn't do the whole thing. I did definitely do some content on it.
I saw you were wearing a very nice all white outfit, wasn't it? I think I saw.
Yeah.
That was fresh.
The all white outfit was a friend got married in Santorini. This guy I work with had a wedding there. So I went to Santorini for the week, and then this is going to be a counterintuitive thing that was shocking for me in that whole experience with and money. It's such a big deal in this existence, on this simulation, right? We've decided that this is important, and while it is important depending on how you live, it's also finding out what really matters to you and how do you find contentment. That's why for you, having always things outstanding is like probably not content, which is good. Most entrepreneurs are dissatisfied. There's a problem they want solved, so they solve it, and that's what leads them to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
For me, I was Santorini for a week, and then I was yacht for a week, and it was a great experience, but shockingly, I was very happy just to come home to Barcelona. I was happy to come home to work. I was happy to come home to my podcast. I was happy to come home to we live in a 60 square meter apartment here, my girlfriend, to my bicycle, to my friends, and this life. And that's a really powerful thing.
That is contentment, right? You don't want to create a life that you need to escape from. You
Yeah.
want to just have that as part of the whole.
Yeah. And most people that would hear that, if they don't like their job, they're like, it's so big that like, oh, well, fuck you. But the reality is it's starting today, so that in a year or 5 years or 10 years, you have the ability to make sure that at your house and your life, you don't necessarily need to escape it because it's already where it wants to be. And for me, it was more of just, wow, I've been chasing for so long. And then the reality, it's actually there all along, and I have it now. I'm like, oh, that's so peaceful.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to wrap it up with a question I've stolen from you from the UGG interview. You said, how would you like to be remembered?
Brian Smith. I don't believe in legacy. So like when you get a bench named after you, or a statue, or like you get a building, or you have content, like I kind of think it doesn't exist after we die. Right. And then in 100 years, no one remembers. Like Elon Musk will 100% be forgotten. 100% he'll be forgotten. So whether you're going to Mars or whether you're delivering food, it's more for yourself and finding whatever pieces with that. I think we think if we do a bigger thing, then we get more legacy and you have a more meaningful life, and that's not true. It's finding whatever meaning is in your own life. So I would say the two things I'd like to remember Ford. Number one is being funny. I like people like, yeah, he was fun. That guy was fun. Like I went biking with him and we had a fun time. I did a podcast with him. We had a fun time. I worked with him and we had a consistently fun time. That's why one of my things each week is fun. So I would think life should be fun. I think we should be enjoying our work. We should be enjoying our friends. We should be enjoying sitting behind the camera or in front of the camera. I think the second thing that I pride myself in is being generous. And I don't know if I'm always generous. Sometimes, when you get Glovo and you're like, I can do 5% or you can do 10%.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to be consistently very generous with myself. Generosity, I think people think is external. It's internal generous. So like, am I taking care of myself? Maybe monetarily or maybe just activities or just being nice to myself. And then externally generous. And so one of my goals every single year, it's been for years now, is I want to give away all my money every year or donate it or spend it on myself.
All right.
Donate it to others, tips, gifts for friends, my parents, like taking on my yacht, or for myself, like get myself a nice bike, take care of myself. And so that's kind of been an interesting goal that has really helped assist with that.
I think the book's going to help as well, right? That's going to reach. You're helping so many people. I think that's like it's a massive impact from a piece of work. So, mate, best of luck with it. I hope it. I think it's going to do well. I'm confident.
I'm proud of it. I'm proud. I think whenever I see an entrepreneur, they write like, "Oh, I want to impact 1 million people" on their bio. I'm like, why not just one?
The first one.
Just go one.
That's important.
And then you'll feel a lot better. And then go to the next one.
Yeah. Well, Noah Kagan, thank you very much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for watching. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Obviously, you probably already subscribed to his channel, to be honest. He's massive. He's probably hit 1 million by now. If you haven't, just go and do it. You'll love it. And I'll catch you in the next one.